Oh my god. Yeah, hell yeah.
Thank you. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
That's crazy seeing you here again. Yeah, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We're here again. Isn't that crazy? Woo! It's almost as if we told you guys we would be.
Back in the season 1 studio.
I know, this is very rare. But don't worry, friends. We are still on the phone with someone that we'll introduce you to later.
True.
Ooh.
Very true.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm great, thanks.
I was gonna ask how you were doing.
Guys, Mike has like all new fancy recording equipment and it lights up green every time we speak. Isn't that so fancy? Sorry, I'm like making noises like what? Anyway, let's just get right into it.
All right, Molly. Last episode, I believe I went first with current fixations, talking about movies and music I've been listening or watching recently. I believe it is your turn to go first. So, Molly, what are your current fixations?
Whoa, Mike. Music-wise, I actually haven't been listening to too much since you last heard from us, just because since the last time we recorded and now I had my first year recital, so I kind of was taking a pause on all of my extracurricular music listening to just listen to all of my recital music instead. And then my reward for that was listening to Willow Smith's newest album. I think I was trying to tell you, okay. Last episode, I was trying to look up the name of her last album, and then I found out that she came out with a whole new album. It's only like 26 minutes long. It's not very long, but it's very nice. So I suggest you go listen to that. I also listened to Harry Styles' new album multiple times. It's not bad. I don't, it's a big bummer that I don't think it sounds the way that the album is titled. So I don't like the idea of like expectations, because it like really like I thought it would be more disco than it was, but he wasn't kidding when he said disco occasionally, in my opinion. But it seems like the world's liking it, and I'm glad that he has a win. Good for him, honestly. And then I'm listening to some Hiatus Coyote. I don't think I've ever talked about them before. Do you know who they are? No? Whoa. We'll get you there. I have to learn a song by them, so then I listen to the whole album. And I listened to the album before that, so it's crazy. Ever since I've been home, I'm home for spring break right now. Wow. I've been re-listening to Doechii and SZA, specifically like SOS, and then obviously Alligator Bites Never Heal. Oh my god, it's so good, because I really associate those with my hometown and like kind of the past and happy times, because spring is coming, guys, and I am very pleased. So both of those albums are really great for windows down car drives, so that happened. So that was my music. And then for movies, I haven't seen that many, but I did see Hoppers yesterday in theater. Have you seen it, Mike? Mike is nodding he has. I didn't actually know if he has or not. So, he saw it last weekend. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. King George is my favorite character, duh. I would die for him. I would commit so many felonies for that guy. I love beavers. He's so cute. He's so plush. He's so cute. And oh my god, it also is so scary at some points, and then it gets sad at some points, and I'm like, whoa. So I actually quite enjoyed it. And SZA did a song for that movie too. We were sitting in the theater, and I was like, oh, I know she's there. Queen. And yeah, so that's probably the biggest one. But I also finally watched, I think it's called People Who Go on Vacation. It was a Netflix original, I think. The guy that played young Coriolanus Snow from Songbirds and Snakes was in it. I am confused. I think he is only attractive in Songbirds and Snakes. Like, I do not think he's attractive at all anymore. I don't know. Like, I think I also just don't like his voice. Like, I thought it was the way he talked, but actually that is just his voice. And it sounds like he's not trying, even though I know he is. And I'm just so confused. The leading lady, she's such a cutie though. Love her. But it was all right. Technically, also, kind of the similar thing with Harry's album is that the name of the movie does not reflect what actually happens. He does not meet the girl on vacation. And you actually they don't meet anyone on vacation that's exciting. They meet to go on vacation. Like, it's like a once a year sort of thing, building up to like, you know, kind of like almost like one day. Is that One Day with Anne Hathaway in it? But anyway, kind of like a before sunrise moment, said Mike. Is it going to stop me from watching it again? No. I'll probably watch it again in a couple years. And yesterday, my parents wanted to bond with me. Whoa. And we wanted to watch a movie, and my mom was like, "Can we watch Captain America?" And I was like, "You know what, Mama? Sure." But I knew the original. But I knew by watching it, I would now have to embark on my normally scheduled spring watch of just all of the movies. And so I'm on I'm on Winter Soldier right now. My dad he looked at me like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Dude, I told you this would happen, and I'm here." And I love Chris Evans. I love that guy. So I gotta watch it. And that's basically it. How about you, Mike?
First off, hell yeah. Second, people that go on vacation, that's what it's called.
It's people who meet on vacation.
I did not watch it, but the misleading title reminds me that my brother was watching Attack of the Clones. And let me tell you, I tore that movie apart as soon as I walked in the room.
Ooh.
Because I was like, this is the worst Star Wars movie of the saga. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it's called Attack of the Clones. The clones don't attack until the third movie. And he was like, damn, you got me. Because the second movie ends with the armies of clones getting ready for attacking. And then it cuts to the credits. And then the third movie is where like Order 66 and everything happens.
It has a beautiful cover photo, though. I cannot lie.
Shout out Drew Struzan for the best poster art of all time. Either way, current fixations. I have watched, let's see, I think I've watched 4 new movies since our last episode.
Damn.
One of them was Hoppers, and I thoroughly enjoyed it also. It felt like Pixar might be bouncing back a little bit after a few not so ideal movies over the past few years. My one sentence review was the third act should traumatize just about any child that's 6 or younger. It was awesome.
Traumatized me? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was sitting in the theater, like I was the only one in my row, and then the third act unfolded, and I was just like, this is horrifying, but awesome that Pixar's going for it.
Can I tell you something really fast?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I interrupt you? Real quick. What's up, you guys? I went to the dentist on my spring break. I know. I am a party animal. And I was getting a cavity filled. Don't judge me. And the dentist was like, yeah, my son's in 5th grade and he has to have a quote in the yearbook. And it can be advice or it can be something he said or it can be like a favorite quote that he has heard. And he wants to put in this Muhammad Ali quote that's float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And I have no idea where he heard that from. And now my ears perk up. Dude, I couldn't even, I feel so bad. I don't really know who Muhammad Ali is other than, is he a boxer? Okay. He's best. Yeah, he's a boxer. Okay, period. Good for him. Cool. But she was like, I have no idea how he got that. And I was like, girl, have you ever seen the movie Cars? And she was like, oh my God, it's his favorite movie. And I was like, they go float like a Cadillac, sting like a Beamer. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, I have, obviously I have no idea how I would know that. I don't watch Cars. I was like, that's a lie. I love you, Lightning McQueen. Anyway, I just had to tell you guys about that. And back to you, Mike.
Molly celebrates Lightning McQueen Day every September 5th for 9/5. That's not true, but I imagine that's the case.
Good job.
Let's see what other movies I watched. I rewatched Ice Age. That movie is My Three Gay Dads, the movie. That's all that there is to Ice Age. I watched Zootopia 2.
Wow, I still have to do that.
It's okay at best.
That's crazy. You're the first person I've heard say that. Everyone else has been like, it's so good.
The first one's much better. Visually, the second one is better, but that's because it's been like 9 years of computer development. I rewatched WALL-E, 5 stars, sick as hell. I rewatched The Road to El Dorado in preparation for a later episode, which we will discuss at some point in the future. I watched a really good movie yesterday that I will be discussing later this episode. That's my movie fixations. But music-wise, I gotta stay on the down low for a little bit because most of my music listening history since the last episode we recorded has been in preparation for today with our top 5 category. So I don't really have anything crazy. I've been getting into more like 90s, 2000s alt rock again, like Blink 182 and Bowling for Soup and stuff, just because that's the vibe I go for when it's 70 degrees and sunny out for 2 days of the month. I was like, I gotta go back to the days where you wore a long sleeve shirt with a short sleeve shirt on top and rode your skateboard and fucked up your knees for 48 hours, played basketball both days. Felt good. Molly did hear Pitbull at the basketball court the one of those 2 days. It was a good time. Yeah, I think that's my easygoing current fixations.
Wow. Okay. Okay, guys. We're gonna move on. Mike's laughing at me. I'm just very excited because it is our second episode. Our first episode, we had Queens, Erica and Aaron, and they were mutual friends. They found our way into both of our lives in their own way. And this next guest, he's technically like one of my guests, and now we're all gonna become friends. It's very exciting. And Mike will have some like that as well. But yeah, please welcome to the show. Drum roll, please, Molly. Ty.
Hi.
Yay.
Oh my, I couldn't stop laughing at it. Oh my god. Oh my god. I have
Period.
Hoppers either. I have not seen Hoppers.
That's okay. I'm on break and I was like, let's go.
I need to watch it. The way you guys describe it sounds very interesting, especially this King George character.
He's so cute.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die.
My next note on Hoppers, it was the first Pixar movie in a hot minute that I did not feel it should be a Disney Plus original. Because there's a few that were Disney Plus exclusives that I felt deserved theatrical, like Soul and Luca.
Oh,
Neither of which got it. Fucking bitches. Yeah, and then Molly knows I'm not the biggest Turning Red fan, to each their own kind of thing. It's fine.
Oh.
Sorry, I guess. I don't know.
If and when you have a daughter that goes through puberty, you'll need to watch it again.
I was gonna say that movie. It's meant for the girls.
I grew up watching race car movies.
No.
I watched Talladega Nights as a kid. Sorry.
Anyway. Hi, Ty.
Hello.
Hi guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks for being on with us. Do you want to tell our listeners who you are, where you're from, and maybe your music taste, and maybe how you know me?
That would be important, wouldn't it, too? Okay, I'm Ty. My name's Tyreek Wiley, but you can call me Ty. I'm from Washington, D.C., born and raised. My music taste now, as of recent, tends to vary. I've been listening to a lot of Zara Larsson because she's just fantastic vocally, and Dionne Warwick and Charlie XCX, which is funny, and just to really get out there. But I really love, I kind of tend to gravitate towards pop. I love also R&B. Like, I want to say, like, I really do enjoy 90s and early 2000 music and modern R&B, like SZA, or like a few modern artists, but I really do love that. I love the 80s as well. Prince and Mariah Carey are like my favorite artists. I love Beyonce. I love Nirvana. I love Kurt Cobain. I'm going to mention him later, but he's one of my favorite like instrumentalists and writers just in general. I really do. I'm getting into more alternative 2000s. Like Avril Lavigne is more punk, but I've been listening to her a lot recently. And Alice in Chains, I love them as well. My music taste is pretty sporadic almost. I do love the Spice Girls too, as Molly knows, but I think they're very underrated. That's another controversial.
Spice up your
opinion. Their debut album is so encompassing. It's crazy. I think "Wannabe" is their worst song.
You think "Wannabe" is their worst song?
Out of every other song that they release, because it's so, I mean, it's not their worst, like it's their most popular song for a reason, because it was just like a whirlwind of stuff going on. But their songs in that album, they're like, I would have suggested that album too. You Want to Be, it's like a drastic contrast from the rest of the album, which is funny, like a drastic contrast. Because
you like Gaga, right?
I do. I was listening to Mayhem. I also was going to say I've been listening to a lot of Lady Gaga recently too, and
we love Mayhem.
I
in
love
this household.
So good.
Mayhem had a big involvement in season 1, at least.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it multiple times. It showed up multiple times.
Bangers. Even in the Halloween episode had Zombie Boy specifically. I love that song.
Yeah. Oh my god, this song's so good. I also love How Bad Do You Want Me. That song used to play all the time in American Eagle.
Oh my god.
I was saying I met Molly through Vocal Effect, and she a very prominent person in Vocal Effect, and we became friends. Well, I became friends with everyone there, but I became really good friends with Molly because I thought, like I still do and think and thought, that she was like one of the best singers I've ever met at that entire school. Like she's just fantastic. And so I took a lot of like a kind of like a almost like a not an idolization, but I was like more like I was like, oh, this is like in my mind my mentor. So like just look at what Molly would do in some aspects and just like, oh, she's really like improvising and I want to be like that. And that's really how we met one another and such, and that's really it.
Wow. Okay, I have a couple
Nothing
things.
crazy at all, actually.
So vocal effect is or was a show choir at our undergrad. SUNY Oswego. Whoa. And I think I literally met you through like when you auditioned, like how I met a lot of people.
That audition, don't even bring that up. Oh my goodness.
The biggest thing that was like intriguing for me was that you were like one of my only friends that liked R&B and really like singer-songwriter stuff, and specifically like Mariah and like really Beyonce. You were such like I love Beyonce, I love that girl. And I was like, I always liked her more famous stuff, but
Yeah.
I think you were the one that made me want to go when she had her Beyonce Bowl last Christmas, or I guess 2 Christmases ago. And when I saw that and enjoyed it, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta go listen to Cowboy Carter now. Like, you were the first person I told. And then I went through my whole like discography list, and I was like, you know what? Ty was on to something.
If you haven't watched season 1 at all, Ty, just know Cowboy Carter was like my highest rated assignment of season 1.
Oh, that makes me happy. Oh, I could get into that album all day.
Right? It's so good. And I do think that kind of like what you said about trying to explain like your relationship with me, I guess, is I think you were also one of my first friends that I guess like really like realized this, because I have this for a lot of my friends, but I was like, we have such mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
Like you think like I'm really amazing, but I think like you're really amazing. And then we work together on like the board together. So hey, I don't care if this is sappy. Like, you know what I mean? I think that I like truly want to see you succeed in singing, but also Mr. Law School, period. You know what I mean? And I think you feel the same way, vice versa. And that's like really awesome to have that and to know that.
Oh my God. Thank you, Molly.
Friendship. Anyway, Mike, do you have anything you wanna tell Ty before we begin?
I'm Mike. I am Molly's friend from high school. We met through our select choir class when our teacher would separate the soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and like randomize you on the risers. We hung out next to each other on the risers.
Hell yeah.
And after that,
Also note that you both were basses.
I started as a tenor and it ruined my life for the first year. So
that's so funny because I'm like the opposite.
But I'm a bass now. So after high school, Molly and I we kept in touch, obviously, but it was kind of on and off when I started college and she was senior year, and then as we got older and both were in college, we talked a little bit more often. And then once we were both done, we were like, what's up?
Real.
So there are some memories associated with some of my discussions later today.
Whoa. Well, thanks, Mike. Thank you, Ty. I did also earlier when I mentioned the bass thing, did you say that like, are you a tenor now?
So my senior year, I went through some grueling, like Amanda, before Ty left, he was like, I don't think you're a bass. You're definitely a baritone, but I don't even think you're a baritone. I think you're a tenor. And I'm like, well, I don't know. So then I was taking lessons with Amanda too. She was like, why are you singing down here? Sing up here. And she kept having me sing like above my break. And she's like, no, you're not a baritone. No, you're not a baritone. You're a tenor. If anything, you might be a lyric baritone, but you're not a bass at all. And then, so my senior year, I was taking these lessons with Amanda, and it became apparent that when I lost a lot of my lower range, because I was in state singers and Ben was like, you used to sing this F and now it's so weak, but when you sing up here it's really resonant. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I don't think I'm a tenor, I think I'm a lyric baritone, like a high baritone, but that's really it. But Amanda and Todd were like, I think you're like a tenor. I don't think you're a bass. I don't think you're a baritone either. But Amanda was like, I need you to stop singing down here. And then recently I've been practicing singing a lot more. And then my upper range is like really like flourish and like become like a bit stronger, like so much so that I can be resonant on an A sharp, which is like kind of common for a baritone, but it's like, that's why I think I'm a lyric baritone. But I was like, they were on to something, but I still am not like comfortable with singing. Like I might be a lower tenor, but not like, there's someone I'm thinking of who's a really high tenor, like Ben Capulets, not like that. He's like, he can sing into the stratosphere, and Bruno Mars, one of the same. Yeah. But I think I might be a high, like baritone, low tenor. That's why I think, sincerely, they were just like, you're not a baritone. Wow. They saying that the entire time. I just didn't know how to navigate anything vocally at the time either.
That's so exciting though. Oh my gosh, look at you. Because you can like, ooh.
Yeah, I used to go whistle. Now I can't do it anymore because I literally just think I opted for not having a stronger chest voice like I really did. And I lost a lot of my upper like agility, which is crazy.
Yeah, like when I took my 2-year break, when like I I never really could fully whistle. Not like oh my god, queen vocal effect that like she likes bears.
Oh,
I see her
Taylor.
face. Taylor, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I will literally like never forget her and her ability to whistle was insane. Actually, insane.
Crazy. Oh.
I was like, whoa. But yeah, no, I definitely had to rebuild my range since going back to school. I was like, all right, let's actually practice every day. Should we? Yeah. So, but wow, that's so exciting though. That's like new territory, new
It is
things.
scary.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's like
It's exciting, but it's just
gotta be
scary.
like thrilling. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some days I hit a random note I never could before. I'm like, huh, wow, I never thought I could do that. And then I just keep doing it all day. And then I sing all day at American Eagle. And it's like a whole thing with that. And it's just so unserious. But yeah, that's the new revelation. I do want to take voice lessons soon again to like really work on to everything. Ooh.
Oh, that's so exciting. Look at us. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, side tangent. Do you want to tell our listeners what you decided your theme was going to be for top fives and why?
So for top fives, I wanted to do something a bit more in line with the album and such, but I would have done movies if I watched a lot of movies. I'm gonna make it very apparent, I do not watch a lot of movies. So it's
That's
like,
okay.
and I was like, let me do something that I feel like everyone could relate to. Everyone has like songwriters that they enjoy. So I chose this one because it's like, it's not saying like, oh, these are the best songwriters ever. It's more like, these are my favorite songwriters, or like, these are songwriters I think that did something impactful. And I also want to see what other people like in songwriters and what they like in like music, like production and stuff with songwriters. And I just want to see what everyone else was thinking too.
Yes. I do want to say that to our listeners and to you, Ty, is that when we thought about the guests that we're going to have on, my main concern was that we would have versatility. So we love that because it's, oh my God, there's so much stuff out there. And I thought this was such a good theme that we really haven't. Yes, we had one season, but there's so much stuff out there that we haven't been able to get on the specific intricacies on what makes music great. And songwriters are just like one of the multiple, right? So that's so exciting. And that's also kind of what I thought about my favorite people, not really stereotypical favorites. I mean, obviously some of them are clearly, but I also have a connection to them as well.
As I did with episode 1, I have my stuff printed out and each page is separated by a privacy screen so that no one can see what I mean.
So funny.
Leave me out of this. The criteria that I did was songwriters ranked by independent work. And if they're part of a band or group, their solo efforts are what I'm looking at today.
Yeah.
There is one outlier that is a partnership in music songwriting, but I'll get into that when the time comes. I digress. Back to Molly.
Ty, do you want to go first and tell us your first person on your list?
Okay. I want to preface this by saying, can I mention some honorable mentions before I go into number 5? Because I feel like they deserve some mention, but they're not like.
I support.
Okay.
I support. Just because it's been really hard for us to. We used to have honorable mentions, but yeah.
They're going to be very quick, and they would be number 5 if I, like, in a different circumstance, if that made sense.
You're totally good. I think we all have little people to mention. There's so many songwriters out there. Live your truth.
Yeah. No. Perfectly fine. Okay, so honorable mentions are Alicia Keys, Billie Eilish, specifically for What Was I Made For? It's such an intricately written song. Then I have Max Martin, Kurt Cobain, Diane Warren, and Madonna. Honorable mentions. But my number 5 is Stevie Wonder. The reason he's number 5, I listened to his discography enough, but not as much as the other people on the list. He not only lyrically is able to capture such precious moments in a very personal way that he writes them as like he's writing a diary entry to the listener, and he composes his music too. That's also why I put him he is in the top 5, because songwriting isn't just the lyrics written, it's also the music composed, and he does both, especially with his harmonica solo and Isn't She Lovely. There's a specific verse in Isn't She Lovely, where he's like, isn't she lovely? Life and love are the same. Life is Aisha, the meaning of her name. Lundy, it couldn't have been done without you, who could see the one that's so lovely, made from love. Now, he's essentially saying that his daughter is life and love without overly using over, like he's being literal in essence. And then he's like, it couldn't be done without the love of my life, who is my life and love as well, to conceive the my other love of my life. And he plays the harmonica over top of her cooing and like crying. And like, I'm like, that's just such a beautifully written piece that his songwriting isn't underappreciated. Stevie Wonder is well known. Everyone loves him, but this is one of his pieces that are like just beautifully composed lyrically, songwriting wise, and instrumentally. He's very good at just being literal and very in the present moment with writing as like a diary entry to the listener, which he does in another song called You and I, which I love. It's very vulnerable and like very raw. And he's vocally also a good songwriter too. Now at Accord, there's a song, I can't remember, where he does a scatting bit over top of this. I forgot what it's called. I think a figure eight bass or something of this sort. And it was like this, he had a lot of chromatic scales in it. It was just so nasty. I can't remember the song. And it was just like, that man is musically insane for that. So that's my number 5.
Period. I feel like you deserve a round of applause because I really wanted him to be on my list. My biggest reason for not is because I haven't listened to enough of his songs. I feel like everyone that's on my list, I can mention at least like 5 songs. Bing bang boom.
Yeah.
And so I say this a lot also, that I also rely on the other people's lists so that I can be like, yeah, I agree. So yes, I agree. It's so beautiful, so touching. I had no idea that it was about his daughter.
Yep.
Wow, that's even more cutie. Mike, do you have anything to say to that?
The opening of Superstitious is unforgettable. Just the slapping bass. And I'm glad that you touched on the fact that composition is half of songwriting, because I did the same thing for mine, where they do it all themselves. It's not part of a production company or anything. And I had Stevie Wonder on my short list also. So, and Madonna. So we were 2 for 2.
I see you.
See, the only reason why Madonna does not make my list, but I did think about her, was because her influence wasn't really her songwriting. It was more of
the videography.
Her presence on stage and things like that. So I was like, I'd love to talk about her, but in another setting. Ty, who do you want to hear from next?
I want to hear Mike because he has his presentation going on. I'm curious about it.
All right, geez. Put me on spotlight. So, as Ty did with his honorable mentions, just listing various artists, I had various bands and groups. Like I had Avril Lavigne, Bowling for Soup. At one point, I had Sugar Ray and the Beach Boys, Beastie Boys.
Oh my God.
All of those were in my like short list of, they have range, they write crazy shit, and I'm here for it. And the Bee Gees, which I'll get into later.
Oh my God.
Oddly enough, the Bee Gees did not make the cut, but it's because of my criteria, which was partnerships are excluded. And that is why my number 5, the outlier, is Elton John and Bernie Taupin.
Oh my goodness.
Quick little info dump. This is the only partnership I have on the list. Elton is the composer, while Bernie Taupin is his lyricist. And much like a film composer, Elton John typically wrote his piano melodies. He is retired, just so you guys know. Except for his one album with Brandy Carlisle, which I still have to listen to. He was given a set of lyrics from Taupin with no note changes on them. And then he let the piano and instruments accentuate the words. So like he would receive the words and then write around what he was given. Kind of crazy. He wrote musical numbers for a couple of my childhood favorite movies, such as The Lion King with lyricist Tim Rice, and The Road to El Dorado, which is a DreamWorks movie with Bernie Taupin on lyrics. But as for non-film contributions, this is an absolutely unreal duo with a long list of iconic hits. His stage presence was like one of the standouts of his career. His flamboyant costumes and open homosexuality were elements of his glam rock pop look, like the bedazzled Dodgers outfit. Notable songs, I had Your Song, which is just a good love ballad. Rocket Man, to many, is not an astronaut, but it's about his history of drug abuse and detachment from reality. Tiny Dancer is not about a short person. It is Bernie Taupin's tribute to the women of the USA when he first arrived in LA, and his former wife was the seamstress for the band that they saw in concert when they first came. Circle of Life, if you somehow still have not seen the cinematic masterpiece that is The Lion King, is about acceptance of death as a part of life. Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Just a heater of a love song. Don't Go Breaking My Heart with Kiki D goes crazy. Featured in 2 childhood movies, Chicken Little and Ella Enchanted. As a sample of their variety, if you listen to your song and then play Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting right after it, there's a certain whiplash that comes from going from 64 BPM love song on piano to 153 BPM rock ballad about getting in a fight in a bar. And my closing note, memory of Elton John. So years ago, Molly and I were both home. I was on my gap year at the time between colleges. And Molly was like, I want to see a waterfall. I was like, I know a good waterfall. And the entire drive there, I was in my first car that was a beater and smelled like crayons.
It really did.
The CD I had on in the car was my mixtape of personal favorite Elton John songs. So that being said, extensive catalog of bops, beats, and bangers puts them at number 5. Add the childhood nostalgia of Lion King and Road to El Dorado, solidified at number 5.
There's this Elton John song I do love called The Strongest Suit. And the song is so, the instrumental is so like.
He did Strongest Suit?
Yes, he did that.
No, hold on.
Yes,
that's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yes, he did that. I love that song. And the Spice Girls actually sung it. And I'm like, that song is so good, so nicely written in a way that is like, dress is my strongest suit. And it goes in line with the theme of the movie. I'm like, this is just really like, he wrote, yeah.
That's crazy. I just like looked it up. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it was an Ada, and then in high school we had I was in like the dance number. Overwear.
Yeah, underwear. I love the song is so good.
Anytime. That's crazy. Elton, period. Wow.
I love it.
Wow. Good job, Mike. I already supported you, but now I double support you.
Even though I fucking hate Romeo and Juliet temporarily.
Keyword. Temporarily. Anyway, I'm going to go with my quote unquote honorable mentions first. If bigger people aren't on this list, for example, like Carole King and Joni Mitchell are not on this list, love you. For example, it's because I don't know their discography enough.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just choose them because of one amazing song. I feel like they should have multiple and I should know them, right? I said, I'm trying to choose people that are more known for or should be known for their songwriting skills. As always, I'm heavy relying on the two of you to have ones I don't have. And I also tried ranking them based on how their songs impacted the world, although maybe not. I don't know. All this is subjective. So, and then I tried to think of people that didn't have a bunch of co-writers. Like, unfortunately, like I love Beyonce, but I actually didn't know, like she has a lot of co-writers. That's not a bad thing. I don't think that takes away, but because it's not like solely her, I didn't want to put just her on this list, right? And yes, I did try and look up if there was like one guy that like wrote a lot of like the Disney Channel original movie songs, and it's a mixture of a bunch of people's. But shout out Drew Seeley, because apparently Drew Seeley wrote a couple of the big High School Musical 1 songs. Also, shout out Esther Dean. I don't know if you guys know who that is. You would have seen her face if you saw Pitch Perfect 1, 2, or 3. She plays the girl that's like kind of gay but kind of not. She is, and she goes nah nah nah, come on. That's her, and she wrote a lot of specifically Rihanna's hits. She did some from the Lorax movie. Google said that she did Let It Grow, and I think that is insane. And because it's on the internet, I have to believe it, right? That's wild. But because Rihanna was a hot minute ago, and because I don't know, I haven't really heard some by her since, I was like, I'm not going to put her on, but I had to mention her. With that being said, my number 5 is Billy Joel.
While Molly is on her phone looking up lyrics to refer to, he did the music for a Disney movie, and I want to see if she knows which one.
No idea.
The answer is Oliver and Company, and it slaps. It's about an orange tabby cat in New York City evading animal control.
Whoa, you know that I haven't seen a lot of like old Disney movies, so I've actually never even seen that one. That's crazy. Well, we're back. So I feel like looking at Billy Joel's discography right now, he has so many bops. Not only that, but a lot of people use his songs for a bunch of different things. Like if someone's graduating from anywhere, they always put like Vienna on the playlist or something like that. It's always like everyone's like crying listening to that. And if you're like drunk at a bar, Piano Man's gonna come on at 11:30 and everyone's suddenly gonna scream to that song. Or We Didn't Start the Fire. I remember in high school, whatever music was playing, and like a group of guys were like in a circle like screaming that song, and I was like, why are we doing this? And they were like, I don't know. I was like, you know what, I'll do it too. And that song, it's always mentioned in history classes to help you know the timeline from the time periods he discusses, and that's so helpful as someone who was a history major. So I think that's always so funny. Also wedding songs like Just the Way You Are, Uptown Girl, I feel like I always hear that one, New York State of Mind, Big Shot. I always hear that. Or like You May Be Right. Like those are big radio ones. Mike says I'm missing one. What am I missing, Mike?
The Longest Time.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. For the longest. Oh my God. Shout out How I Met Your Mother.
Longest for the longest
time. But I do want to say that when I actually took a gander and listened to like his first 5 albums, I actually thought that one of my favorite albums was his first one. He sounds so baby, I just have to say. And my favorite song is actually really funny because not a lot of people know it. It's the second song on the album. It's called You Can Make Me Free. It goes, you can make me free. You can make me cry. You can make it so much better if you would only try. And if I must wait a lonely lifetime until I am with you, my love, I will wait, but you'll be what I'm dreaming of. Yeah, he's like, I can take to the skies. I can soar like a bird with its heart full of song. Won't you color my eyes? I've been waiting so long. And I just think it's so cute. All of his songs sound just so real. And I didn't actually have anything else really to say about it because he has so many songs. And I just mentioned a crap ton of them. So if you're listening, yeah, just go listen to some of them because they're all like honesty, such a lonely word. Very wise stuff as well. Really gets you thinking. Like there's like the happy yay, and then there's like the sad, but then there's like the retrospective, like, whoa, this is my life. So yeah, that's why I have him at number 5.
I was going to say Billy Joel. Listen to him passively, and I hate that I say that. I listen to him, but I just know his songs because I hear so much. When I had to sing Vienna, I had to learn Vienna in 12 hours for the audition. I was sitting there listening to Vienna, losing my voice, learning the song. I'm like, oh my goodness. I always loved the lyrical aspect of it. So raw. That's why I would say about Billy Joel. He's very a raw writer, and he puts these social commentaries under a melody without making it an overly like political or like social commentary he's making is like this big and the focal point.
I feel like his music is also very descriptive.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about Zanzibar and thinking about like The Stranger. And also like him and like Phil Collins, they're both a little older now and they both have health issues, so they can't really perform anymore. But like Olivia Rodrigo has performed with him. Like so many other people talk about him as an inspiration. But also one of his other songs that I really enjoy that actually have no lyrics is called Root Beer Rag, but that says a lot as well. So it's kind of like what you were saying. Like he didn't even need to say any words for that, but it's kind of like takes you on like a little journey anyways. Wow.
His song You're Only Human is also really good. It was in The Boys.
Yeah, didn't you introduce that one to me? Yeah.
I have a 7-inch single vinyl for it. It's awesome.
Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh. Ty. What's your number 4?
Okay, so my number 4 is Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan's a fantastic writer who puts political commentary in the forefront of his music.
Ty, you're a very special member of the matchup group. Bob Dylan is also my number 4.
That's crazy. I want to hear how you describe him because I'm very much more like I don't listen to him actively. I very like look at how he writes, and that's why I look at it and I enjoy that a lot. What were you going to say?
Go first, and then Mike will just like respond and piggyback off to that.
Okay, the reason I put him on the list is not just because like he is a fantastic writer, but when he started writing such politically driven pieces in an era when you had the Beatles doing their first 2 albums, doing very much love romance songs and very like swooey songs and like very like Frank Sinatra-esque, but in their modern version. And he kind of just came out the gate swinging and was like, no, here's actually more important things to talk about. Let's talk about social and political issues. And that really changed the scope of writing because the Beatles started doing that too. And like the Beatles started doing that, and Mamas and Papas, they also like made social commentary in their music. But Bob Dylan was such a huge catalyst for that in pop music to discuss political issues and not be shy about it. Actually, like political issues were probably mentioned sporadically, like seldomly, because it wouldn't sell as much. But he was just like, I'm making music for the purpose of not just selling, but the purpose of exercising and communicating political, social, real life issues, not love songs. And that's why I had to put him on the list. I'm actually starting to listen to him a bit more because I actually just respect his writing. And, as much as I am a person who loves vocals, I do love writing equally just as much. And he's just fantastic. He has to go on the list. That's why I almost switched him and Stevie Wonder. That's why I was like, I kind of want to switch them. But, they're both good in their own accord. That's why I'm like, I'll leave them as such, but they'll be equal in my mind. But 4 will be Dylan. One of my favorite lyrics I have down is the ghost of electricity housed in the bones of her face. And just just the way he describes that, not only is he so metaphorically descriptive in his writing, it's very rich. And that's also what I enjoy. Extended metaphors. I love literary devices in music because it just really like, it's just beautiful. But he writes with such good, like metaphorically just writes so well. But that's why it's a right. Put Dylan at 4.
Before Mike responds and everything, Rolling Stone agrees with you. He's like their number one songwriter out of like 100. I know of Bob Dylan, but I really don't know that much. But like when you said that and the whole political thing, like that's so real. And I think that is why he should be spoken about right now. Is that he inspired so many people, as you said. And he also inspired Hendrix a lot. I remember learning about that last semester and I was like, wait a second, let me make sure I was right. And because his stuff was like very political too, especially for younger people, and he heavily inspired him. So
I'm going to bounce off of that really quick before I introduce my thoughts. All Along the Watchtower is a Bob Dylan song that Jimi Hendrix covered.
That's crazy.
Goes crazy as hell. So I'm pretty much on par with The Reason, but for context as to who I am, Ty, I have a huge fixation on mid-century modern design, like post-war America stuff. So my senior project was an entire book about how advertising influenced and changed social reform or made things better or worse, everywhere from 1945 to today, pretty much. I don't think I mentioned Bob Dylan besides Subterranean Homesick Blues because he directly mentions the Weatherman explosion in Greenwich Village. But yeah, all of his lyrics were social relevance. Some of them sounded personal, but it was because he was trying to change his ways in the world. The song The Man in Me is him dissolving the concepts of post-war hypermasculinity. The man in me will hide some time to avoid from being seen, and it's really good. The songs, he's known for a lot, but the one like Masters of War, I didn't really know of until I was listening to his music in preparation for today. And Masters of War is just the military industrial complex profits off of killing teenagers. Damn.
wow.
Similar to The Man in Me, the song My Back Pages is his admission of rejecting old values. I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. And what else is there on my list? The one song that annoys me after hearing it the first time thinking it was really good is A Hard Rain Is Gonna Fall, because he rambles in that song. Blowing in the Wind refers to inefficiency of successful reform. The answer, the wind, is right in front of us, but invisible.
Wow.
So the reason I put him at number 4, besides previously mentioned, he set an unparalleled precedent for what lyrics could be for artists. If you look at songs from like the early 60s and the 50s, where you have stuff like Connie Francis, they were big artists, but a lot of their songs felt studio, like Pretty Little Baby. That's like a universal song, not teenagers are dying in the battlefield and it's the rich people's fault. You didn't get that until Bob Dylan showed up. With his songs like Masters of War, Blowing in the Wind, The Man in Me, he conveyed the perspectives of counterculture and like the hippie movement in the 60s. And those songs continue to reflect modern society because, as I wrote in my book, history will repeat itself unless the actions that respond to them change as well. All in all, his lyrical impact is the largest reason that he is my number 4, and that is it.
Skadoosh. I know nothing about him, which is bad, I know, but
no, it's
yeah, all I know is that I guess Timothy Chalamet, which, guys, I have to say a PSA, opera and ballet matters. Anyway, it's me, right?
It's me.
My number 4? Wow. There's a show that came out, I want to say 2022 or something like that, and it was called Daisy Jones and the Six. They made a whole soundtrack for this show, and this show is basically like a Fleetwood Mac knockoff. So I decided that my number 4 is going to be Stevie Nicks, because she did a lot of their songs. And I actually don't know much about her alone. I more know about her in the group and what she's provided to the group. So I'm gonna give 2 Fleetwood Mac songs, but they were like some of like the big ones were written by her. So I would have hoped that you all listening have heard these 2 songs, especially Landslide. If anything, Landslide is like in my opinion, their like biggest song. And you've probably heard the chorus, but my favorite part of the song is actually, it's kind of like a ghost verse because they do it only one time, where they do like that, I took my love and I took it down multiple times. And that is, quote, "Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life?" And that's so real. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, just that is like a whoa. Like, I'm on a mountain and I need to go like figure out my world now. And then the other quote I have is from Dreams. And okay, this one's a little longer, but it's fine. It's, "Now here I go again. I see the crystal visions. I keep my visions to myself. It's only me who wants to wrap around your dreams. And have you any dreams you'd like to sell? Dreams of loneliness. Like a heartbeat drives you mad in the stillness of remembering what you had and what you lost and what you had and what you lost." Whoa.
Wow, it's very nice.
It's just wild. And that's all I can really say. I don't fully know much about her and like, I think what the guitar player or whatever, that they were like potentially a thing or not. If the show was kind of like them, could you imagine writing that and performing that with people? Mike's looking at me because he really wants to speak about this. But that's all I had to say. Stevie Nicks, love you, Queen. And also, you know, Taylor Swift has mentioned that she is one of her biggest influences and someone who has helped her specifically handle her fame and everything like that. And I think that's like an example as to how she is influenced. I mean, a lot of people love Fleetwood Mac, so yeah.
So the Fleetwood Mac song, "The Chain," is her song about her public breakup. And if you look at the live performance of them, she is staring him down with bullets in her eyes. She's like, "I'll fucking kill you."
In a lot of the songs, like it's not just that one, but yeah, dang. Could you? Whoa.
Such a real
Never play the chain. Anyway, Ty, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I was listening to Stevie Nicks the other day. I was listening to The Edge of 17. I'm like, wow, it's just a real song too. But Stevie Nicks is amazing. And I'm always for women songwriters and male dynamics like that, with like her being the writer. I know she inspired Courtney Love too. And Courtney Love is another songwriter that's very interesting in the grunge aspect. But, you know, I like Stevie Nicks more in that regard. But, you know, Stevie Nicks is a great writer. So I got to say nothing negative at all.
Period. Yay! Now we're on to number threes.
Okay.
Hi.
Number 3 is more recent. I try to spread them out by decades at least. But number 3 is a writer. Now, my top 3 tends to get a bit more intimate in their writing. And that's why I think I picked them, because they write a bit more personally. But it's also like they use these literary devices, as I mentioned before, which is a kind of big thing with me in writing, because I write with a lot of literary devices, even in music, because I just think it's kind of taboo sometimes, you know, like using extensive vocabulary words, using like certain devices that are used in typical standard writing, but not in music, because it won't always play the same or be conveyed the same. But so my next song writer I chose is Lana Del Rey. She is a fantastic writer in the regards to being so raw and vulnerable without always being overly explicit. A song I like to use, for example, is Cherry. And Cherry, she talks about having these luxurious things like cherries, lime, and thyme. Things are like serene and peaceful, being tarnished and destroyed by love. She does this thing in the background where she like curses later on in the song because her love is getting tarnished literally as the song is going on, because it starts off so beautiful and like irresistibly delicious in a sense, but then it gets tarnished and destroyed over time. And it's just the way she didn't have to like blatantly say that. And she does that in Cinnamon Girl. She retouches Cherry, but in Cinnamon Girl, she's like violet, blue, green, red, to keep me at arm's length, to describe the pills that her boyfriend's taking, but also to describe the bruises from past abuse in the same shade. Because later she says, like, if you hold me without hurting me, you'll be the first who ever did, to describe I'm very fragile in this state. And Taylor Swift bit off a lot of Lana Del Rey's earlier work, like Born to Die and Ultraviolence, and specifically in Red. Red, the album, lyrically is so similar to the first 2 Lana Del Rey albums that it's crazy.
I'm looking at the Cherry lyrics now, and I just like this line caught my eye, and it says, "Love, is it real love? It's like smiling when the firing squad's against you and you just stay lined up."
Lined up. Cherry's like about a deadly infatuation. The narrator like depicts like Lana spiraling as she processes the toxic relationship she's in, testing the balance between love and obsession by depicting romance so potent it angers her. The contrast dispersed throughout the story, sweetness and violence, desire and destruction blur the lines between passion and rage. The imagery of ruined luxuries that complete her, cherries, wine, rosemary, thyme, and peaches, demonstrate how her passion and love has left her damaged. However, she says she falls to pieces. Is she falling apart through suffering? Is she losing pieces of herself as she clings on to him, or is she madly falling in love? Since Lana doesn't clarify that, the dramatic climax demonstrates that the man is clearly destroying her happiness, but she loves him so much to leave him. Then repeats the outburst of anger in the moment. That's why I'm like, she curses in between. She's like, another song I was going to put was West Coast by Lana Del Rey, because she does this so well in West Coast by doing the tempo change in the middle of the song. And like, she's just a fantastic songwriter who writes these things about her personal life and very in the moment things without being overly figurative, but she is figurative. That like she's being very plain, but also being figurative. And that's why I love it. Like, I think she's a fantastic underrated songwriter. And Cinnamon Girl, and another song is Radio and Off to the Races and Ultraviolence. Like, people think she's romanticizing the idea of abuse in Ultraviolence, the album itself, but what she's actually saying, like, she's describing Stockholm syndrome, and people got harping on her like, you're romanticizing violence. But I'm like, she was describing real situations where women will be abused but still cling to the abuser because they are it's so twisted, the idea of love, that physical touch can be also not only sensual but also harmful in a way that it can be translated as protection and caring and tender like attentiveness. She's just a great songwriter, and I think she's completely underrated for that. All I gotta say about Lana.
Period. Mike has some things to say because I see him itching for the mic. I do also want to say I have two things. First thing, when I think of Lana Del Rey, I think of like one of her hardest lines ever in her song is, "Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? Will you still love me when I got nothing but my aching soul? I know you will, I know you will." And I'm like, whoa, like I've always wanted to listen to her more. I just haven't like gotten there yet. It's just, I always say like something will click and then I'll want to. But when you said that thing about Taylor Swift, that's so real because Red is like so descriptive. And I thought about Wildest Dreams in 1989 because it's so like similar in I want to say quality. And then I just looked up like a Reddit thing and someone just went ham. And unfortunately, Ty, we will have to talk about Taylor Swift later. But my reasonings for why we're going to talk about Taylor Swift actually have nothing to do with the Red in 1989 era. Some of her most famous music, I would say. Yeah. But like the first thing they were like is like obviously Wildest Dreams is based off her, and that is so interesting. And I love how passionate you are about this. Oh my gosh, because you make me really want to be like, oh, okay, I gotta go do the deep dive now.
Molly, I suggest you listen to Born to Die, and my favorite album other than Born to Die by Lana is Honeymoon. Beautiful. I wish I listened to Lana in middle school because my world would be literally, the way I write would be different too. She literally inspired me so much.
Wow. And I do like, this is not the point for the top fives, but her voice is so unique, I feel.
It is.
Really nice. So it's very delicate.
So my note on Lana Del Rey, I also enjoy the song Young and Beautiful. The movie that it's from, The Great Gatsby, could be better, but we'll get into that at some point in the future. Not today, though. Either way, the song that stands out to me from Lana Del Rey was a heavy listen in early 2025 for me. It is Get Free.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I have lyrics to refer to. I think it's the last verse before the final chorus. And she says, "There's no more chasing rainbows and hoping for an end to them. Arches are illusions, solid at first glance. But then you try to touch them, there's nothing to hold on to. The colors that used to lure you in and put you in a trance."
So like, she's just so crazy. She's underrated as a writer. She's so good.
Yeah, it's kind of wild because she doesn't even have professional awards, right?
No, that's why I'm like, they hate her because of this specific performance she did during her debut that was just so poor, but she was like under the influence, like she was drunk, and it was such a bad performance. It was on SNL. The Grammys don't take her seriously because of that one SNL performance almost 14 years ago, and it's crazy.
Did she just not sound good in that performance?
Her label wanted her to do this weird voice when she first debuted, and she stopped doing it after that. And she was trying to do it live while also intoxicated, and it was just not like conveying the same.
I hate that.
And it's just unfortunate that the Grammys are missing out on like actually a great writer.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go next. I am terrible with knowledge. because I can't like give you what this man really deserves. So you're just gonna have to trust me on this. My number 3 is Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, love Kendrick Lamar.
I solidified my list and then I drove to Starbucks and then I was like, oh my God, bro won a freaking Pulitzer Prize. I have to mention him. I was like, he literally got an amazing award for this. But the reason why I said what I said in the beginning is because I actually haven't listened to the album that his Pulitzer Prize won, which was 2018's Damn, other than like Humble. I think everyone's heard that, right? But I've listened to his entire GNX album, including, like the one-off songs like Euphoria, which arguably to me is better and puts who way more in the ground than Not Like Us. But it's the wordplay and it's also watch his Super Bowl halftime performance, which I love. Fun fact. I love that performance. Most of the songs from GNX are in there, except for like Heart and Gloria. And it's just, I like that he is who he is and he is not gonna take shit and he's gonna tell the world what it is, like what it was / is like. He brought a lot of people together for his Super Bowl halftime performance.
Actually, too, in Kendrick Lamar, I love the Damn album. It's my favorite Kendrick album. This is song XXX he has, and it's about gun violence. He's good at narrating, really good at narrating. That's what I love the most about him. And his compared to a lot of like any other rapper or even singer, he's a really good narrator.
And I feel like kind of like the other people I've mentioned, like we've mentioned, his music is also very versatile. Some of it's very heavy and some of it's very whatever. Not like whatever, but like it doesn't matter as much as like, that sort of thing. Yeah. But I guess I actually really like that quote. I was looking up, I wanted to like try and quote and then I was like, Molly actually didn't come prepared. But I do like that Man of the Garden quote. So I think I'm going to use that one. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just going to use that one. When he says, more blood be spilling, it's just paint to me. Dangerously, nothing changed with me. I still got pain in me. Flip a coin, want the shameless me or the famous me? How annoying. Does it angers me to know the lames can speak on the origins of the game I breathe? That's insane to me. It's important. I deserve it all because it's mine. Tell me why you think you deserve the greatest of all time. Oh, wow. It's so good.
He's just fantastic.
Bad word. Motherfucker. Like, so good. I love it. It's so good. And
no, he's great.
I think he kind of piggies off of like the whole Bob Dylan thing, like how he kind of says like the revolution is not going to be televised, and he like his whole all of his political statements are necessary. It's kind of like why even though Cowboy Carter was good, it's also why I think Cowboy Carter deserved Album of the Year because it was good. So yeah, that's why Kendrick is at number 3. The only reason why I haven't listened to some of his older stuff is because when I didn't love some of the words that he used to describe certain things. They just didn't appeal to me. And then when GNX came out and I listened to it, I was like, holy shit. This is great and very descriptive as well. Storytelling, like you said. So that's why he's not higher. And yeah, the fact that he literally got a Pulitzer Prize is like crazy. That was insane. I think the first ever person to do that for like a hip hop album. So wild.
Fantastic.
So, yeah. Who's your number 3, Mike?
Get fucking ready. All right. So for those that aren't aware, she's written 3,000 songs by herself. She wrote her first song when she was 5.
Wait.
Damn.
At 13, she was introduced by Johnny Cash as her first performance and got 3 encores. She wrote 2 of her most famous songs of all time on the same day. She was featured on 2 tracks of Beyonce's album Cowboy Carter.
You know what?
She is godmother of Miley Cyrus.
I like how she goes, hey, honeybee, it's Dolly P.
Hey, Miss Honeybee, it's Dolly P.
Guys, it's Dolly Parton if you couldn't tell by now.
Literally, when you said 3,000 songs, I was like, I think he's talking about Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, she's my number 3 today. We got inclusion.
Hell yeah.
Her extensive catalog of career-defining titles crosses through typical genre boundaries, much like other artists that I've already discussed and will discuss afterwards. The 2 notable songs she wrote the same day are Jolene and I Will Always Love You, famously re-recorded by Whitney Houston, but OG is Dolly Parton. The song 9 to 5 slaps. Song Light of a Clear Blue Morning starts as a slow ballad, builds to this very like upbeat, clap along kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's really good and the tempo just builds throughout the song. The song Dumb Blonde goes crazy. It's just her detestation of gender bias and assumptions. Two Doors Down, song about going to a party 2 doors down to cope with a difficult breakup. I think the one that stood out to me most, besides Light of a Clear Blue Morning, that I hadn't heard until I was doing my research was Mountain Angel, which is the story of a woman's fall from graces due to a man that left her broken and irreparable after he took everything from her dreams, her love, and her beliefs. I feel like I should note 2 songs that she covered that are very well known. First one being Islands in the Stream with Kenny Rogers. That duo on that song goes insanely hard, but the original was written by the Bee Gees.
It doesn't even like a Bee Gees song. I mean, it does, but like it's just like the
When
way
you
they
listen
sing
to it, it does not sound nearly as good as their cover. And then Here You Come Again was a cover also. And I'm like, really? Because that song is one of her like biggest ones. And
yeah,
we used that song in season 1 promos.
It was so good, Ty. If you haven't seen it, I might just send it to you. God, I heard that on the radio a couple of like weeks ago, and I was like, oh my god, like it is a popular song. Because I guess I never really heard it, so I didn't know.
So, reason that she's at number 3. I initially had her at number 5, and then the whole partnership criteria, I was like, nope. So once I did more research and saw that she's stated that she's written 3,000 songs, but like that alone, I was like, that puts you above Elton John and Bernie Taupin piggybacking to make their songs. As a country musician, I imagine she got some backlash for not being a mom, especially in today's social climate. Being like a very left-leaning country singer seems odd
yeah.
in today's day and age. But I respect the shit out of the fact that she has persistently turned down covers and collaborations. Doing a collaboration runs the risk of losing her sound and having it blend with someone else's by collaboration.
Except she did do a collaboration pretty recently.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Everyone is like, Sabrina's like a mini Dolly. I disagree, but I still liked their collab.
Yeah,
She's a mini Dolly in Islands in the Stream in the Muppet special. I have that noted. Either way, overall, I don't really have a direct nostalgia, like deep cut regarding her music, but they're undeniable heaters, and there's no way I couldn't give my respects to her catalog, ideals, and just the songs themselves. So she's at number 3 for me.
Nice.
Mike's just really good too. She is a great number 3. She's a fantastic writer, actually.
I don't really have anything to say about that, by the way. I support you, as I always do. Ty, do you have anything you want to say about that?
I think Dolly Parton is amazing. And I also am a big person for being an independent songwriter, which will also be one of my... I love independent songwriters. I don't mind collaborative songwriters because it really does fuse ideas together. Personally, I write alone, and I think I don't entirely enjoy writing with other people. But when I write with someone I do make music with all the time, my friend Tom, who's a fantastic instrumentalist, he'll say like, oh, your lyric, like this lyric is interesting that you use it and describe it this way when I would do it this way. And then we kind of just see each other's perspective. And I just... to write 3,000 songs, it's like her and Prince have this prolific catalog. They say when they opened Prince's vault, it was over 1,000 songs in there. And I'm like, that's crazy. And for her to have 3,000 just written, I could just imagine she just have some just written and never like published or produced at all. And I'm like, that's just fantastic.
I told my brother 3,000 song credits, and he was like, well, they can't all be memorable, otherwise I would know them. I was like, that's a very broad statement, but okay.
So wow, Mike, that's so exciting. Now we're on to number 2. Yeah.
Okay. My number 2. Now, if I were personally rating songwriting in terms of lyric composition and how they describe things, they wouldn't be number 2. But if I'm ranking my songwriters overall because I enjoy, like, because of what they produced, what they made, and what they have done in society, they will be number 2.
Gotcha.
But they wouldn't be number 2. Like Stevie Wonder would be higher than these two.
Yes.
One of the biggest a pair of a big group. But my number 2 is no other than Paul and John Lennon. They're the only pair on my list because what they write together is so like just insane. The Rubber Soul album. I love the Rubber Soul album. It's my favorite Beatle album. Love it. Now, I can't solely accredit this to them because it was my favorite Beatle who did this, which is George. In Norwegian Wood, he had a centaur. Now, I could just say the Beatles overall as number 2, but I wanted to specifically talk about the songwriting. But that does also include George because he wrote a lot on the last 3 albums too. But they didn't like him writing, actually. They thought he was a weak writer, but he wrote, I think he wrote Here Comes the Sun, which isn't a strong example, but is a great example of his writing capabilities. So I will say John and Paul, in parentheses, George, too. The reason they're number two is because the Rubber Soul album was so monumental in how it changed how production was. Other than the Beach Boys, they are the second group who changed production because of this album. And it's crazy because also not only was the album itself, it was the marketing of the album. Like everything they did with the album was so unfamiliar to people that they were like, what is this? And I would put the Beach Boys also in my top five because when Paul heard, I forgot what song it was, but he heard a song by the Beach Boys and it made him like have a mental breakdown because he was like, what on earth is this? Like it was so good. He was like, I can't believe I didn't make this essentially. Now they're not that lyrically crazy until about the White Album or even Revolver, but this is the first album where they start to be more explorative in their writing because of Bob Dylan. They kind of changed commercial composition in regards to producing albums because of this album they're writing. Now, this is a strong example of lyrics not being the strongest suit of the songwriters, but composition. Oh wait, did you have something to say, Molly? Oh my goodness.
You're right. George Harrison wrote Here Comes the Sun, and it looks like the song that Paul McCartney could have been listening to was God Only Knows by the Beach Boys.
Okay, so you guys heard that. So what I was going to say is they didn't become more lyrically intense until their later albums, like Revolver Post, everything after Revolver, especially I hate the title of this one, but the one where they're like the magical, and you know what album I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And that is when they became crazy explorative. What were you
the Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah. I hate saying the long names of them. I just be like, the Magical, and then Sgt. Pepper. I'm like, that, and specifically Strawberry Fields. Do you know, like, the way it was produced was so, the story is crazy because Paul recorded his own version and Lennon recorded his own version. They were in two different keys, two different tempos. And the reason it sounds wonky is because they spliced them to merge them together to create one seamless track, which is crazy.
Wow.
It was I listened to John's original recording, and I think I listened to Paul's, two different keys, different tempos, and they spliced them, and then they made it kind of overly like emphasize the like LSD thing, you know, in the whole album, like Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds. Like it was meant to be a trip. It literally was meant to be a trip, and Strawberry Fields Forever sounds like a literal trip. It's crazy. Yeah. And they're just great writers. And I think I'm talking much more about their production. So that's why I'm kind of like, I would have put them lower in retrospect, but the songwriting does include, you know, instrumentation and everything in that whole thing. And that's why I think they're this high. They also were one of the first artists, not the first artist, but the first artist was the lady who sang It's My Party and I Can Cry If I Want To, who did
Leslie Gore,
who did double layering in tracks because she was the first person to do it. And if you listen to the song, one track is out of time with the other one a bit, slightly vocally is out of time. So the Beatles started doing that in their music. They used to use 16 different tapes to make one song. And you know how easy it is to now just punch in to sing in harmony, but to do that 16 different times with an actual tape and have to cut manually, I put them at that high. I would put the Beach Boys in the honorable mention. The Beach Boys in honorable mention, as aforementioned, but they will also be number two for their also production thing. But the Beatles I'm more familiar with the Beatles. That's why I actually love the Beatles. I used to hate them, love them now. But that's my number two, I guess.
Very nice. In my poetry class at my community college, I wrote an entire presentation on Blackbird by Paul McCartney. Song rips. It's so good.
That's great.
But while we're giving shout out to George Harrison, I would like to shout out Ringo for Octopus's Garden because that song slaps so goddamn hard.
Yeah.
I digress.
Love Ringo. They all deserve. That's why I say John Paul, but they all contribute to their whole writing intricacies. So I should just say the Beatles, but I didn't want to say the Beatles because it's it sounds like I'm just a knockout. But the Beatles are my number two.
We support you. And so does Rolling Stone, because Rolling Stone had both Paul McCartney and John Lennon in their top 10. I do agree with you that that the production is important. You were oh, I know I'm talking more about the production, but songwriters, they're visionaries in multiple ways than one. And I think my number one also, it was because of production. So, but also about talking about the layering and everything. I had found out at school last semester that Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, they did 160 overdub tracks. Insane. So I needed to mention that little fun fact because I was like, that's crazy. But I support you. And I had Paul McCartney on my list, and I was like, I really hope one of them's mentioning it. I'm surprised that it's not on Mike's. But after thinking about that, then I was like, okay, but I'm very glad that you mentioned them. So yeah.
Love Paul.
Mike, you want to do your number 2?
I would love to do my number 2, and it's a good thing you talked about Bohemian Rhapsody, because Freddie Mercury is my number 2.
Oh, yeah. It's
Let's
amazing.
get into it. Personal context. Freddie Mercury was a graphic designer before he went into music. It's awesome.
That's such a 180. Oh my goodness.
He designed Queen's logo based on their zodiac signs.
Oh.
I love it so much.
He's known for his 4-octave vocal range, which he accredits to his 4 upper teeth.
That is a lie, by the way.
I know.
Fun fact, sorry, Molly did a lot of research on the band Queen as a whole last semester, hence why I also brought up that fun fact. So this is not the first time we'll be talking about them. So, okay, you go, Mike.
Thank you. So, he accredits it, even though it's not true. He refused to get them removed for his personal belief that they did that. I was getting to that part. He's also known for his desire to avoid repeating the same style, hence the eclectic catalog that he was songwriter for. His songwriting style is described as being theatrical rock, where it's very much stage presence as well as like performing, not exaggerated, but a lot more present than other people. So like stage presence, kind of the same thing. Either way. So as much as songwriting was collaborative effort for Queen, there are a handful of songs that he wrote himself, and his solo album, Mr. Bad Guy, during their hiatus, goes hard as hell. So the songs that I have listed in this mentioning is ones that he wrote himself, not collaborative. But I do have one fun fact before I get to them. It is not music related, but Freddie Mercury once snuck Princess Diana into a gay bar.
I did see that. Oh, hear about that. I've seen that.
That's wild.
Yes. Bicycle Race, similar to Bohemian Rhapsody in that it's an anthem to nonconformity and leading a carefree life. That was like his main theme throughout his songs. It was a lot about like not caring what other people think about you, living your own life, being carefree. And I'll get into that after Molly's next note.
I don't believe in Peter Pan, Frankenstein, and Superman. All I want to do is bicycle.
Yep. So, hell yeah. So Bohemian Rhapsody, which I mentioned last episode, and I'm mentioning it again, was featured in a childhood favorite, Wayne's World. It is often considered Mercury's like musical format or musical version of coming out, especially to the homophobic post-war society he was growing up in, because it goes from the somber mourning of having just killed a man to the self-assured and carefree, so you think you can stop me and spit in my eye. Nothing really matters to me. I didn't really think about that until I looked at the lyrics again doing this research, and I was like, dang. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, he wrote in the bathtub.
That's crazy.
And I thought that was kind of funny. Don't Stop Me Now, another anthem to living a happy, carefree life. Molly watched one of my favorite Halloween movies that song is featured in, Shaun of the Dead. Good time.
Molly also choreographed her senior tap dance solo to that song in high school.
Hell yeah. So those 4 songs are kind of upbeat, where Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy is a slower, more romanticized vaudevillian song about courting a partner with manners. Big note there. So, and then Killer Queen is about a high-class call girl. That's all I got for that one. 7 Seas of Rye, crazy song. Did not know that the song is an upbeat, high fantasy memorial to his childhood and his sister, because Rye was a fictional world that they came up with as kids, ruled by the narrating fairy king of Rye.
That's
Somebody to
crazy.
Love, featured in the iconic Ella Enchanted, is a plea for hope and love whilst in a fog or realm of loneliness. We Are the Champions, also in Chicken Little, is a very well-known celebration of rags to riches victory, the importance of perseverance, teamwork, and resilience. And then from his solo album, Mr. Bad Guy, it is his declaration and carefree romantic ballad about his homosexual lifestyle, villainizing him in society, but he isn't going to let it stop him from being happy. Like the entire chorus is, I'm Mr. Bad Guy. I'm Mr. Mercury. Spread my wings and fly away. It's very good. So his influence is largely seen in genre bending, as well as his theatrical presence, kind of like David Bowie was. And many of the songs that he was credited for are about being an independent soul living carefree life. Though famously well received in the music industry and by an insane number of fans, look at the footage from Live Aid at Wembley Stadium. He was not always seen in a positive light. Homosexuality and the AIDS epidemic were weaponized and villainized in society in the heyday of his work, and he was one of many affected by the illness. Mr. Bad Guy was pretty much the detestation of the stigmatic views.
Whoa.
While there are still endless other absolute bangers written by Queen as a collective, it is impressive that the tracks I had were Mercury alone, and most of them being above a lot of Queen songs and being in like the higher tier of their well-known music is the reason that they went from my initial number 4 place to having Freddie Mercury at number 2. I have one quick note. I am so sorry.
I just want to say tea.
Here's some tea that might make you mad. One of my professors at my community college, who will go unnamed, and he is not a guest on this season, he was a certified hater of Queen in the drawing studio that I was in. If we turned it on for background noise in the studio, he would shut it off, condemning them and what they did to the world of music. It was odd.
What the?
Does he listen to the pod?
No.
Mike says he doesn't. So, fuck you. And we'll move on. All right, great. Because Mike didn't list any lyrics, and you also didn't mention Love of My Life. I've taken the liberty, and I'm going to say that one of my favorite songs written by Freddie Mercury was Love of My Life. And it's very much overshadowed by all the, the big guys that they have. He has specifically... No, don't apologize. It's all right. I actually kind of like that I'm the one that's bringing this up. And it's also, it got a revival when, it was mentioned in the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. I'm just going to say the first half of the first verse. And it's, love of my life, you've hurt me. You've broken my heart and now you leave me. Love of my life, can't you see? Bring it back. Bring it back. Don't take it away from me because you don't know what it means to me. And that sounds, honestly, in reading that, it's like, okay, but the melody under it, like, that's the other thing, is it's also just like what you do with it as a collective, and it's so good. You don't know what it means to me. So good. It was beautiful. Ty, do you have anything to say about Mike's number 2?
No, I think I agree. Freddie Mercury is a very prolific writer. I know a lot of people are going to hate me. I need to listen to more Queen. I listen to their popular songs, but I'm very much, because of this, literally, I've been more interested in listening to like Freddie Mercury's solo work. I'm not the biggest fan of like when artists are solo because it sounds it doesn't have the group sound, but I do like Freddie Mercury as a vocalist, so I'm very interested in listening to him and his writing. I didn't know he wrote I didn't know he was a part of it, but I didn't know he wrote those songs you listed solo. And I'm like, that's just fantastic because that's some intense composition. Like, that is intense.
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody is such an intense song. Like, it literally is. And I know he did a lot of the vocal production too. Like, that's intense. Yeah. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy songwriting. And that's why I'm like, I love when songwriters just don't only focus on the lyrical aspect, but when they do like the vocal production, like that song vocally is like one of the most intense songs to ever exist. And it's just crazy.
I told my brother that Freddie Mercury wrote Bohemian Rhapsody solo, and he promptly responded, "How the fuck do you write Bohemian Rhapsody, let alone by yourself?"
Well, I was going to say my favorite, he's still laughing. My favorite Freddie Mercury, like, fun fact is that he absolutely knew what he was doing. He knew that it was changing the world and changing music history. And he literally joined Queen when they were a band that wasn't really going anywhere. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to change all of your lives. And my favorite thing that we'll talk about potentially again is that he said that and Brian May was like, bet I'm going to do that with you. I love that. I love that he was like, we're doing this. And I feel like that's also why the movie depicted it so well, that for Bohemian Rhapsody, he was like, yeah, so you guys are going to sing too. And they were like, huh? That was who he was. Like, he knew he was changing the world because that's what he wanted and that was who he was. And I love that. So
They were Smile.
yes, there was the three of, or I think the only like the two of them. No, I think it was the three of them were Smile before he joined. They found him. So, or I guess he found them. We could actually have a very interesting conversation right now because my number two, although my number two, she was my number two because of the aspects that kind of aligned with your thoughts on her. It sounds already. So my number two is Taylor Swift. I want to say Taylor Swift in her prime songwriting music is her very beginning stuff, specifically Fearless and Speak Now, which is the album entirely written by her. And then specifically, I want to go and talk about Folklore. I kind of say that I cannot believe that the person that wrote any song off of her newest album wrote Folklore. Like, I cannot believe it, or Evermore. And you can be a fan of something for like really any reason. Obviously, I support you as long as it's not harmful to the world or to yourself. So you can be a fan of Taylor Swift because of all of her really big bops. However, or I should say at the same time, my reasoning is because of specifically Folklore and Evermore. I always knew her and her bops, and I was like, yay, this is great. But whoa, that was, in my opinion, such a big album that fully deserved the awards that it got.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think feel like the world knows she has 12 albums, but so I'm not really gonna actually explain a lot. I'm kind of just gonna list off a bunch of lyrics, and then that's basically that. So I also actually do want to say that if you care about the Hannah Montana movie, she had a song in there which was a great song, which is called Crazier, but she also wrote You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home, which is like a quintessential Hannah Montana song. It's so good. And it's so basic if you think about it, but like it's so good. Like, you can change your hair and you can change your clothes. You can change your mind. It's just the way it goes. So good. I had no idea that she wrote that. But okay, I'm actually going to go to 15 first, a song that she wrote for Fearless, her second album. I think one of her friends had a terrible interaction with a man, as most women do. Like, terrible, I think. And she wrote a song about it with her permission because she definitely knows about it, and they're still friends to this day. Very descriptive. She does really good at storytelling, and I feel this is where I do kind of want to play devil's advocate. I do feel like her music was descriptive before Lana Del Rey's influence, because like the song exists. You know what I mean? I do completely agree with you about. And I agree with the people on Reddit that are like, she kind of, I definitely think she took influence. Because, like, I guess if you haven't heard 15, the chorus goes, because when you're 15 and somebody tells you they love you, you're going to believe them. And when you're 15, don't forget to look before you fall. But I've found time can heal most anything. And you just might find who you're supposed to be. I didn't know who I was supposed to be at 15. And I think that she was this is just one example. She was very self-aware at the life she was going to have when she was very young. She knew that she was young and naive. You know what I mean? Like, most teens are like, Mom, you're just saying that. Like, and coming out of teenage years, like, yeah, you thought that like you knew everything. But when she was that age, like, she knew that she had so much more to learn, life to live, and that she was like nothing really. If that makes sense. Like, she knew that she had to build up what she wanted, because like I think her first album has like, I'm just a girl trying to find a place in this world. Like, I feel like she was very wise beyond her years, I would say. Whatever. And that same album, she also had Teardrops on My Guitar, which
she's introspective too.
Ty, say that one more time.
Oh, sorry. No, I was like, she was just very introspective too, for like a literal child writing that.
Yeah, real. Another descriptive storytelling song.
Oh yeah.
Teardrops on My Guitar. And that chorus as well I'm going to use. He's the reason for the teardrops on my guitar. The only thing that keeps me wishing on a wishing star. He's the song in the car I keep singing. Don't know why I do. Wow. So good. So good. But now we're going to get to the big one, which we will talk about at some point. Unfortunately, probably not a lot this season other than right now, unless some of our guests surprise us. But one day Mike will listen to this album, and it's Folklore, right? And when did it come out? Like, it came out in 2020, right? It was her sister albums with Folklore and Evermore. I think that Folklore was better if we're comparing the two. And I think that she was totally right in describing Evermore as an extension of Folklore. And I think that Folklore really honed in some of the things that she was feeling. And oh my God. And I'm talking about the deluxe version, people. Okay. The deluxe matters as a whole. I'm not talking about just, some of the best songs are actually on the deluxe. So, and I'm not going to mention Cardigan or even the one, oh my God, or My Tears Ricochet. I'm not even going to mention those. I know I just did. I'm not even gonna. Or Mirrorball. Whoa. Mirrorball is a song where she literally, actually, no, I am. Mirrorball is a song where she describes herself as a mirror ball. How you break all those little pieces and put them on the ball and it shines and everyone's like, this is amazing. She describes herself as that. Whoa.
It's really good.
One of my favorite songs from Folklore is called Peace. And it's basically about her having the understanding that if anyone wants to be with her in a relationship or even have a relationship with her, that she would not be able to give them the peace they deserve. As in, now, with the fame that she has, everyone's gonna follow them, be like, who is this person? And she knows that she would never be able to give that person a normal life anymore. So you really have to think about that. And oh my gosh, get ready for this. The verse ends with, no, I could never give you peace. And she says, and now she's trying to bargain. She's like, I can't give you this, but here's what I can try to give you. She says, but I'm a fire and I'll keep your brittle heart warm. If your cascade ocean wave blues come, all these people think love's for sure. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Why'd I sound like a show? All these people think love's for show, but I would die for you in secret. The devil's in the details, but you got a friend in me. Would it be enough if I can never give you peace? Whoa. Wow. I mean, wow. I'm just going to list 2 more lyrics from those 2 albums that I mentioned, and then that's basically it and up for discussion. Technically, it's the last song on Folklore if you're including it in the deluxe, which is the way to do it. And it's basically about how she's like, I would run away forever if I could and just live my life. And I think she would want to live it in modern day England. But yeah. And basically, yeah, it's called The Lakes. And I'm sorry, but I will have to list this whole bridge. And I know that she's pretty known for her bridges and they're good. Mainly because they're all like just whoa. And I think this one's like whoa, but in like a whoa. You know what I mean? That totally made sense, huh? Yeah, cute. Like, it doesn't hit you until you hear, like, the last, like, specifically, she uses, like, a word I've never heard before, and then it, like, ends, and then you're, like, just left with what? And the thing is I completely agree with this song. Like, I feel this way as well. So much. Wow. And, okay, here we go. She says, I want auroras and sad prose. I want to watch wisteria grow right over my bare feet, because I haven't moved in years. And I want you right here. A red rose grew up out of ice-frozen ground with no one around to tweet it, while I bathe in cliffside pools with my calamitous love and insurmountable grief. Wow. Take that in, you guys.
Oh my God.
Right?
That is great.
Like, the person that wrote that did not write
That is crazy.
wood. I ain't gotta knock on wood. No. No. Pop pills and play tennis. Yeah. Ugh. Wow. Okay. And then the last one is a little bit more serious. We're gonna move on. The last one is even more serious, I would say, because her grandma was a opera singer and she was very connected to her. And then she died when she was kind of young and she wrote a whole song about it. I guess a simple quote is she says, like, if I didn't know better, I'd think you were listening to me now. If I didn't know better, I'd think you were still around. What died didn't stay dead. You're alive. You're alive in my head. And after that, in the song, she has a clip of her grandmother singing. So she is in the song. Ugh, it's just so powerful. And those are the reasons why I have her as my number 2. Yeah, I do think that some of her stuff is formulaic. And I think that she has done a lot by recent, I mean the last 15 years, but she's not for everyone, which is, I guess, why she is at my number 2. And specifically because it has died down now, why she's at my number 2 and not number 1.
Taylor Swift is a fantastic writer, and I will always say, like, she actually is just a great writer. The line before you read, before the grandmother song where she mentioned grandmother, that imagery is so potent and vivid. Like, it is so, like, and she describes longing in a way that is a songwriter. Sometimes she can be lazy because you want to make a pop hit, but she knows when she's in her flow state, when she's locked in to write the most poetic thing. There's a lyric she has that stays in my mind. It's like, I just want to be the footnotes in your I forgot, like, footnotes in your book or in your
Is it
footnotes in your,
I'm looking to be the footnotes in the story of your life?
yeah. I'm like, that is so beautiful in a sad way. It's beautifully sad. That's why I'm like, she's actually a great writer. She really is a great writer.
That one's from Giant Hearts in the Byline. I was looking for Too Much Space or Time. Tolerate It from Evermore. Whoa. Yeah.
Is Evermore the album with Betty on it?
Yes, Evermore is with. Yes, it's with Betty and the whole love triangle. Although, wait, no. Oh my God, I'm a liar. I always forget.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm pretty sure the love triangle is Folklore because August is Folklore and Betty is. I'm pretty sure Betty is Folklore. But I always forget that because I heard Betty in a different circumstance. So sometimes it's fragments. But yeah. Oh, wow. Oh my God, that song you mentioned also, now that it's in my head, she also says, like, the guy that she's talking about, like, leaving her in ruins, took this dagger in me, then removed it, gained the weight of you to lose it. That always hit me.
Oh my goodness. That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm. Right? I think we're on to number 1s, right?
We are.
Do you want to ask Ty what his number 1 is?
Oh, sure. So, Ty, we just talked about Freddie Mercury and Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney and John Lennon at number 2s. But now it's time for the big reveal. What is your number 1 songwriter?
Now, I think I'm probably really biased about this. Now, my number 1 songwriter writes uses out of everyone on the list, besides Bob Dylan, the most metaphors, literary devices, and extensive vocabulary words in her writing. Not only is it just lyrically, she's a great songwriter, but it's also vocally what she composes harmonically. I think it's really no surprise what I'm about to say because it's based on the album I actually guys listen to. My number 1 is Mariah Carey. And I know it sounds biased, but let me give full context as to why. Mariah wrote most of her songs independently. And I know if you look at the credits, it will say lyrics her, and then the writing will be Walter Afternas. That's her composer, who she also helps with the instrumentation with, which he also made it notably clear that he doesn't write any of the lyrics. She writes all the lyrics, he does the music, but she helps production with the instrumental. In more recent years, she had more songwriters, but in first 9 or 10 albums, she was just the sole writer of them. For other things to her credentials, she wrote All I Want for Christmas in 15 minutes, and one of her personal songs on her album Charm Bracelet, Sunflower, in 20 minutes, which is about her dad's death. It's just the way you guys listen to the album, so I'm not going to mention much songs from Butterfly itself, but I'll mention songs like Petals, where she says, I've always wondered what it's like to have a perfect family. I always longed for undividedness and sought stability. A flower taught me how to pray, but as I grew, that flower changed. She started flailing in the wind, like all those petals scattering. And in that, she's talking about her and her sister's very precarious relationship and how fragile it was as the petals are scattering. And then she becomes less apparent in her life and she withers away in her mind. Like she literally dies in her heart. Then the second verse is, I gravitated towards a patriarch so young, predictably. I was resigned to a life in misery, meaning that she literally married the president of Sony at 20, 19, 20 or 21 years old. And he was like 43. And he kept her, like he would not let her leave at all. Like that's also why Butterfly is a significant album with context, because that's when she divorced him. And that's why she is like literally flourishing. She went through a metamorphosis into this, like she went through a whole romantic and personal metamorphosis, and she was stuck in that relationship. And then she said, a boy and girl befriended me, we bonded through despondency. I stayed so long until finally I fled to save my sanity. And she's saying the boy and girl are her, at the time, husband's younger children, because they were close in age. And she said she misses I miss you, little sister, little brother. Like she refers to them as her siblings because she has a very precarious relationship, as aforementioned, with her sister, which is, Petals is a very, 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 very well-written song. And the third verse, the bridge is like, so many I let closest to me turned on a dime and sold me out dutifully. Although the knife was chipping away of me, they stayed at night and went home to sleep, which also directly references the guy who I mentioned earlier, Walter, who was her instrumentalist at the time, betraying her for her husband, like, because he would tell their secrets and like everything regarding their personal writing, like everything regarding them that was personal to him. And then it really just made the whole time there miserable for her, because she was in this abusive dynamic. And, you know, you guys listen to the Butterfly album, but, you know, the song like Outside lyrically is beautiful. And she talks about being biracial and existing on both planes in that regard, and like being always in between and on the outside of everything, even though you're internally on the inside of a lot of stuff. And my all, like the line, I can see you clearly, vividly emblazoned into my mind. It's a line that people always quote when they say her songwriting. I'm like, that is a very pronounced way of describing how potent someone is in your head. And I'm thinking of you in my sleepless solitude tonight, or like The Roof, which is another song. Oh my goodness, The Roof. I almost went to make that a spotlight. That song has so many layers. It's just beautiful. The whole Butterfly album and Rainbow album in conjunction are just really lyrically some of her best work. And Daydream, where she's like the whole fantasy song. People like, you know, like it's literally talking about how this romanticized idea of a person is not even real. It's literally just a fantasy. And like, she's the images of rapture as you come into my head, and my heart beats faster as you take me over time and time and time again. Images of a rapture, because of how in love, like the idea of being in love with someone distorts her reality over this fun pop beat, which is just, oh no, that's my number one. Just the way she writes is very, she's writing a love letter to someone in the sense of a song almost. But I think I really can't explain much because the Butterfly album will be talked about, but that's really it.
That is awesome. It's actually so hard to like say more without spoiling my thoughts on the album, but I actually didn't realize how many albums she had, and I never actually thought of her as a songwriter. That sounds terrible. So the fact that you like said that is so interesting, and like good for her. And I support you in that. And that's actually kind of wild. Also, the story about the one thing I like about how we get to do these assignments together is most of the time, as you've probably noticed by now, Mike is very good at like the why. He'll be like this, like, or he draws very good conclusions. Like for me, most of the time I just think about the voice and the production stuff like that. Like I don't really think about it so much. So I'm really excited for that later, because I don't really talk about much of that. But wow, like that's so interesting. I didn't know that that's why Butterfly came to be. Wow.
Yeah, she also like what was I gonna say? That's why she overemphasized that she's a songwriter too, because people forget like that she is. They think of her vocally, but she's like constantly,
because her voice is so fucking amazing.
That's why they're like, she's like, I'm a singer songwriter. I think of myself as a songwriter first because I started writing before I even started singing, and I'm like, that's And it's evident because the way she writes is very specific to her too. Yeah, that's my number one. That's my number one.
I personally am not a huge Mariah Carey fan. Like I give her props where they're due. Like she's got a great voice, very smooth. She's got a very distinct style for being in the late 90s especially, but I will save my remaining thoughts.
Mike doesn't have a lot of Mariah Carey experience, therefore I feel like
That's fair. A lot of people don't. It's okay.
in this circumstance, not like Christmas. We fuck with Mariah Carey Christmas.
Yeah, this
Probably
one
does.
You don't fuck with Mariah Carey Christmas?
Dude, I worked at a bakery for 4 years. I heard that song enough.
That's like her worst song on the album too. There's other songs on the album that are better.
I think I call you out because I never knew of Because It's Christmas Time. And you knew that one because I only knew like Oh Santa and like the one that everyone and their mother knows. I feel like I remember you being like, you gotta listen to this one, and I was like, yes.
It's just better.
I guess yeah. You didn't really mention her in the holiday special, which wasn't that long ago, but my memory sucks. So anyway, I fully support you. Yeah, I don't really know her other songs like that. I feel kind of bad. Like I feel
It's
like All I Want for Christmas really made us as in like the world believe that like we know her stuff, but we really don't. And I'll
No, it's fine. I was the same way. I didn't get really into Ariana Grande, which is funny.
Mm,
And then I started listening to her albums, and they're fantastically written. Her debut album I recommend, and Daydream too. Everyone knows a lot of songs from Daydream though.
yeah, and I feel like also her stuff is so different from her popular stuff.
Yeah.
And her fans are really passionate about that. Like they're like, you do not know her stuff. Like listen to the whole album.
It's a completely different person almost.
Yeah. All right, guys. Whoa. Hi. Oh my God. I don't know if you know this about me. I love Queen. And not only that, I love a certain man in Queen. And it's not Freddie Mercury. It's your boy Brian May, guitar player, icon, and icon of the month of May, in my opinion. And May is coming up. I'm very excited because when May arrives, I like send out a photo that says May is here, and it's actually just a photo of Brian May's face. And I love him. He's just a silly little guy. And I love, like I said earlier, when Freddie Mercury was like, I'm about to rock your world. He was like, okay, cool, like I'll do it with you. And I think even though yes, Freddie had a lot of bangers, he also had bangers. And honestly, in reality, I didn't want to make Taylor Swift my number one, and I was like, who am I actually gonna make my number one that I like love? I guess kind of similar to what you were saying, Ty, like probably in hindsight Taylor is my number one, but because Queen I feel like is way more versatile than, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Taylor, that's why I put him as my number one. That's really it. So let's get into it. Okay. So some of his bangers, first of all, he co-wrote one of Smile's biggest songs, which was actually still in Bohemian Rhapsody, which I love, which is Doing All Right. And that's cute. My favorite line is, where will I be this time tomorrow? Jumped in joy or sinking in sorrow? Anyway, I should be doing all right. It's so good. But when he was in Queen, the first song he wrote for the band was Keep Yourself Alive. So good. I was told a million times of all the troubles in my way. Mind you, grow a little wiser, a little better every day. But if I crossed a million rivers and I rode a million miles, then I'd be where I started, bread and butter for a smile. So good. And not just because bread and butter is mentioned. Looking at Mike, because I know he was thinking about it, because I love that. And I also think that Brian is such a good improviser as well, as he does all, like, you know, like the solos and such. And I think that also is an additional reason why he deserves to be on here. It's because, like, everyone and their mother knows his solo from Bohemian Rhapsody. It says a lot in the song, and it has no lyrics. So kind of similar to Billy Joel. Yeah, kind of similar to that. He also wrote a song that was one of Queen's last songs because Freddie told the band that he had AIDS and everything like that. And he wrote Who Wants to Live Forever. I actually don't know the song very well. I know like the main line. But yeah, there's no time for us. There's no place for us. What is this thing that builds our dreams yet slips away from us? Who wants to live forever? Whoa. I guess like one of his like the big things that he's done, I actually didn't know this until I found out when I did my project last semester, is that he wrote the Flash theme for the Flash Gordon movie. And Mike's like, whoa, Mike's getting up. He's probably going to show me something. And he's walking. And that was, first of all, something about what you said about production is that, Mike has the original soundtrack by Queen, period. First of all, Flash was during their big technological advancement era where they started getting into synthesizers and everything like that. And so that alone was big. And it was a big deal for them to do like the whole movie. And the movie was very big. So I just think that's like kind of iconic for Brian to have that on his resume. The fact that like he like did that too. I'm gonna like just list off some other songs that he's done. He also co-wrote a lot of other songs with the rest of the band members, like Fat Bottom Girls, Show Must Go On. But some of the songs like he wrote, just to list them off, we got Hammer to Fall, which that one's a good one. Save Me. Now I'm Here. That one's good. We got We Will Rock You. Yeah, Under Pressure. That's wild. And I know that's not one of them, but I don't care. I love him. So whatever. Anyway, yeah. And it's fun fact, Brian May is also an astrophysicist. Love you, King. Mike wanted me to say that.
What are these majors?
It's basically like rocket science.
That is, I know, but I'm like
kind of like Bridget Mendler.
Designed to like and then they make this group like that is so
right?
plastic.
Yeah, they were all in the sciences except for Freddie. And he also, like, not to get super into it, but the one reason or a couple of reasons why their sound is so unique is because Brian built his own guitars and John Deacon, bassist, with his dad built their amps. So they literally had their own unique sound because they made their own tools of production.
So crazy.
Yeah, which is actually like, kind of iconic of them. But also, speaking of Bridget Mendler also being a rocket scientist, I did want to like jokingly put like Vanessa Hudgens in here for like sneaker night or something, or like Bridget for Ready or Not. But I didn't. But like low key, those are good too. Okay.
Basically, what we're gonna do is that song.
Yes. Now's the time, sneaking night.
This song is so the instrumentation does not match like the lyrics at all.
I know, so good. Ty, do you have any final thoughts about what's in?
It's kind of similar to when Mike had Freddie as number 2. I will literally be listening to more Queen after this for the sake of you guys actually did like give me a lot more like perspective. And like I never watched a movie because I don't watch a lot of movies, but I'm trying to watch a movie. But it really just gave me a lot more perspective and insight about their composition. And I knew a lot about Freddie Mercury and his voice, but not like this writing aspect. And that's really made me want to listen to them actually. So yes, I will be listening to them probably tomorrow at work.
And you should. Mike is about to tell you that the movie is bad. However, I saw the movie 3 times in theaters.
All right, so here's the deal. The editing was really, really gross. Like, there's a lot of weird cuts, a lot of weird sound cuts. The content itself, I am not mad about. It's the filmmaking perspective.
The actors are lovely, too.
It was the editing that's the big problem I'm talking about, though.
The costumes were really great, also.
It's not bad. It's mid there.
So the locations, slay.
Yep. Okay. We did that. All right, guys. Are you guys ready for my number 1?
I'm
It
excited.
may shock one of you. It may not at all. I'm going to be swift about this, but it's not Taylor Swift. Sorry. So, he was the first non-British singer-songwriter signed to Apple Records. He met Mark Chapman one day before he assassinated John Lennon. He was in a relationship with Carly Simon for 9 years, had 2 kids with her, was in a relationship with Joni Mitchell for 1 year. I'm seeing him in concert on July 3rd, and I cannot wait. It is James Taylor.
Oh my goodness. Wait, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, While You've Got a Friend is one of his most well-known recordings and like played all the time on the radio, he owes it to his close friend, honorable mention, drop in the pan really quick, Carole King. She wrote it for her album Tapestry. Goes crazy. Anyway, he also did covers of Up on the Roof and Marvin Gaye's How Sweet It Is, and Buddy Holly's Every Day, all of which haters. But we're here about his original stuff, guys. So, here's the thing. Fire and Rain, arguably his most famous song. I did not know it was about this. It is about his experience attempting to break drug habits by undergoing psychiatric institutionalization.
Oh my God.
But the song is dedicated to Suzanne in the first verse. She was a friend of his in the institution
Trigger warning.
that was put in a solitary cell, and she killed herself.
Wow.
Carolina on My Mind, he wrote at Apple Records because he was homesick, wanted to come home. Song rules. Something in the Way She Moves inspired George Harrison to write Something for the Beatles. It's objectively about the calming presence of a close friend or a significant other. Shower the People started from a note that he received from a friend in the 60s. It regarded his pride and his hypermasculinity being in the way of accepting love from others. It features backing vocals by his then wife, Carly Simon. They did a duet of Mockingbird that Carly Simon wrote. So good. Your Smiling Face is split in its interpretations. Some believe it is about Carly Simon herself. People that have done like biography research on James Taylor insist it is about their daughter. Either way, song goes crazy. Sweet Baby James is a lullaby for his nephew, also named James. And he did this really cool song called Our Town for the 2006 Pixar movie Cars.
Whoa, really?
The montage of Radiator Springs going to be in a ghost town.
That is wild.
It's awesome. The reason he is at number one, while Dylan's music is proven critical to the evolution of folk music, I find that James Taylor took folk music and made it personalized. After Bob Dylan made it like social commentary, James Taylor was like, here's the deal. I was in a mental hospital. I'm going to write a heater. Kind of stuff like that, where he's introspective, showcasing emotion, that he's like writing songs about the fact that he couldn't show them before. While Dylan's music was largely acoustic, it's not a bad thing, but James Taylor has like a lot of instrumentation mixed in. Like the variety comes from his introspective subject matter, like addiction and recovery, homesickness, and the overall bittersweet aspects of life. One of the biggest swing vote factors for me is how he turns such macabre topics of addiction and suicide into warm, cozy songs like Fire and Rain. For example, he put Fire and Rain with that subject matter on the same album with Sweet Baby James, that is a lullaby to his nephew. And it was his like debut album that went nuts. And then on that album, he also did the blues-heavy Steamroller Blues, the folk-heavy Escape from Life in Country Road, and the Plea for Hope in Blossom. I did not know his history of drug abuse to this extent until I did my research, and his decision to rehab as a means of being a better present father. Those things kind of add up to him being my number one. Also, he did a song for Cars. Like, how do you look past that?
Yeah.
So, need I say more? I'm excited to see him in concert on July 3rd.
That's exciting too.
That's all I have. I am open to questions, comments, or being told to shut up.
No. I actually have to listen to James Taylor, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I think I only know one song.
Oh, Ty, that's okay. I'm about to crush Mike's dreams. Mike, I have no idea who he is. And I only know that he is famous because I've heard his name before.
That's I'm the same way. And it's sad because it's just crazy.
And I mean, like, I support you, and maybe I'll go listen to him now, especially with the Cars thing. Oh my God, he freaking got me. But
I put him on my list to listen to after this podcast because I'm like, I love good songwriters, and he sounds like the way he writes to be poetically vulnerable is a very fine line to cross. Like, that's great, especially with the drug app, like the rehab, and then he's writing like poetically about it, like in a way that's like, like, I think that's why I'm like, I needed to listen. I need to get invested.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the main chorus of Fire and Rain is I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I couldn't find a friend, but I always thought I'd see you again.
Damn.
And that is about Suzanne in the psychiatric hospital.
Oof. Oh, that's terrible.
That's so sad.
Yes. And like the first verse is about Suzanne, and it's just yesterday morning they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. Heater.
That is so sad.
Well, I mean, you have us convinced, so.
Yeah, I'm like, that's beautiful. Like, that is so sad.
Not that I didn't already, but I support you. Wow. So we'll move on to the assignments. Woo! Wow. Well, that was so exciting. And now Ty is going to explain to us what assignment he chose for us and why.
So this is her sixth studio album, Butterfly by Mariah Carey. This came after two blockbuster albums. The Music Rock album would sold 35 million copies because of Hero and Without You. Like, it was a big album. Then the Daydream album would sold 32 million copies, like due to two back-to-back big albums. This album comes at a very tumultuous aspect in her personal relationship with her then husband. She spent 4 years writing the song Close My Eyes that's on the album. Composing was the longest part, but that was what took the longest part because she spent years to craft the song and really put it to encapsulate everything that she was going through. And the album is a metamorphic album, basically. It's a manifestation of her life. She was basically restricted during this whole marriage. She couldn't really do much at all. She was under Sony. They were very harsh on any aspect. They didn't want her to do a lot of R&B because they wanted her to sell more into the pop realm because it'll sell more. So that's why this album is heavily R&B and hip-hop influenced, because that's always what she wanted to do in music. And this is the first album where she had outside producers for the tracks, versus the last album was her and Walter, her long-term composer. It touches very sensitive topics, such as her being biracial, the longing of romance while being in a marriage to an abuser, but also having an affair with someone else, Jared Dieter. Vulnerability. It's just a really transformative album, and I chose the album because it's my favorite album, but it's also there's other albums I wanted to choose, but I'm like, I think anyone who doesn't listen to her, this should be a good introduction to getting into other more easily consumable stuff in her whole repertoire. And it's also she wrote most of her other albums, but this is like her heaviest, like just like her writing almost every song except for one, but Beautiful Ones is a cover, but almost every other song outside is written completely by her. Close My Eyes, My All. I don't know if Whenever You Call, but it might have one other songwriter, but most of the time she's writing all the lyrics. They said during this whole album, it was mostly just her breakdown. She has rappers to Bone Thugs and Harmony to accentuate she mocked their flow in her song to mimic them, which is already just another masterpiece. And then The Beautiful Ones being included which is a cover by Prince. And then it's just a very personal album. She says it's her very most personal album. I just wanted the harmonies is also another reason why I always want to include this. There are so many tracks on this album that have intense layering, and I wish I actually guys to listen to a strip version of the song Outside in the Roof to hear there's over 16 layers in one part of the song, and she does a 3-octave harmony. It's just a beautifully stacked album, lyrically, composition wise, harmonically, and videography is also important in this, which I'll mention later. But yeah.
Wow. That's actually, yeah, wow. That's so interesting. I want to start this off by saying that even though I literally told you to come prepared, writing stuff down helps, I wrote my stuff down like right before we started recording. So some of it's a little, but I think I have the main gist. So just bear with me on that. I also, I knew that this would not be like an issue, but be something to note when we have guests on, that the point of having guests on is to explore, for exploration. So even though I might say some things you might not enjoy, and I would love for you to tell me some things that I will enjoy, I am happy that I listened to the album and happy that I learned new things. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
I'll explain. Okay. I just want to like say that before. I just wanted to say that beforehand because, oh my God. Fun fact to Ty, I had a cheese party a couple weeks ago where all my friends had to bring me cheese so I could try cheese. And I never really had cheese before.
Yeah.
Pepper jack is disgusting. And so I told them, I was like, the point of this is for exploration. Doesn't matter if I like it or not. It's just the fact that I tried it is the point. I didn't like most of them. And then my friends were like upset. And I was like, guys, but like, I'm not mad. Like, just because I don't like the cheese, now I know. Now I can have an opinion on cheese. It's kind of like that.
That's gonna be.
Not that I thought the album was terrible. I'm not. Oh my God, I would never do that to you.
It's okay.
I just wanted to like give you, like, okay. So, I always do a how I listen to this album, and I actually listened to this in the car, which I think we talked about it last season, like the levels of listening. I think that's much better for me because it's like surround sound and I'm like, yeah, and I can really focus on it. So that was great. So I was pleased with that, especially with all she's got going on. First of all, her voice is insane and amazing. There will never be a question on that. And I knew that going in. I didn't know much about her stuff besides Christmas and some of her one-off stuff. And I actually like heard her at the store a couple of days ago. I was like, yes. But yeah, I've only actually heard one song from this album and it was My All. And I think it was trending on TikTok, which is why slays. But yeah, so there will never be a question of her voice being amazing. At the same time, overall, the songs on this album to me are almost a little formulaic in which they start off very soft where she's like very soft. She's like, and then the background singers come in and they do this like really nice chorus and it's great. Then she does the second verse and then they maybe do a bridge and then they do the chorus again, but then they do the chorus over and over and over again. It turns into a vamp that probably goes on for like 2.5 minutes while she's like what? And it's amazing, right? And it just it goes over and over again and then it ends. So like most of the time it's her voice is two types. It's or it's there are exceptions, which I was very pleased. I was like, please let this not all be like that. And upon second listen, because I listened twice, I was like, okay, there are more like that. So it's kind of like we had Daughtry to listen to, and I'm not going to try and compare assignments every single time, but for them it was a main thing of like it was all the same thing. And for this it was very similar with slight differences for certain songs that I'll talk about. So not that formula is bad, but just the fact that it was a formula. And honestly, I mean, if you got it, flaunt it. Like if she has the ability to do that, and it was lovely. At the same time, with how good she is, and that most of the songs were a little slow for my liking, it's very hard to be able to sing along with her. Some people don't need that. Some people just want to listen, and that's great. People like myself, I can hit most of her notes, so I could sing along if I want to. But people that like to sing along to things, but they don't like to sing along to hard things, are gonna not want to sing along. So I guess it just depends what type of person you are. And then I guess want to say genre wise, I always knew, I heard from someone, like we mentioned her a couple of times in a jazz class, actually or like an R&B jazz class a couple of years ago, how she had like massive gospel influences. And I think that's exactly like the type of voice she has to be in that genre. It's so good. And you can definitely tell which songs are more like that. And I loved those. And I think that the things that I would make this album better is that if there were some ways to make it, I don't want to say simpler because I don't want to like dim her shine, but I maybe want to say more catchy. And I do have a song example. So I hope that made sense. The last main thing I want to say is I feel terrible. Ty, I feel so bad because you're telling me all the types of things that she talks about in her songs. And when I tell you I could barely understand her
And
talk
the diction, yeah,
because
was
of
so
the diction of the consonants. And SZA's like that. But when I heard SZA for the first time, her melodies made me be like, oh, I have to know what she's saying now because I want to sing that melody line. For Mariah, it wasn't always like that. And then I was like, oh. And so some of them blended in together. And then I was like, oh, we're in the next song. I didn't even realize because it's kind of a similar vibe. And I love the dreamlike sense of it. Oddly enough, also kind of like SZA. But sometimes it was just like, all right, I need a shift. So I feel kind of bad because I don't have anything written down about the songwriting stuff, which is also why I'm kind of happy you brought her up already about a songwriter. I like the album. I just wish that I could understand her more. I feel like I would have liked it more if I could understand what she was saying in real time.
like I was gonna say, this is the first album, like her whole 5 years where her diction was so bad because she wanted to do the whispery thing that she used to didn't do. She used to be a full blown like belty like chest for a person, and that's kind of the thing that happened all the way until about 2005, like this whispery poor diction thing that she didn't have before. People were like, my parents the other day, we were in the car listening to Breakdown. They're like, I never knew she said that. I'm like, yeah, no one knows what she's saying because you had to look at. I literally had to look at the lyrics, and I'm like, oh wow, the lyrics are really great actually.
Yeah.
I should have warned you. I should have warned you about that because I was like, a lot of times it's whispering and it's like, I know in Breakdown it's like, so what do you do when somebody is out of? It's like just like whispering, no consonants. Yeah. And then The Roof does the same thing. I'm like, yeah.
It's okay. I mean, the point of this is like, it's just like we just boom and then we talk about it after. Like it's honestly, when you were like, this is kind of an introductory into her and then like as opposed to some of the other stuff, I kind of want to know what that other stuff is because I wonder if I would like the opposite. Does that make sense? Like I kind of want to know what you think is like out there for her.
Yeah.
For like non-new listeners. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, the consonants was, oh my God, for Honey, I thought that was a slow song, and then I realized a lot of the songs on the album were a lot slower, and then I listened to it again, and I was like, actually, Honey slaps. So Honey is definitely one of them that I like. I've heard My All Before. That one's good. I would consider like singing, like learning that one and singing that one. The Roof reminded me a lot of Cinderella by the Cheetah Girls, specifically the bridge.
Yeah. That's so funny. I never thought about that. That is so funny.
Right. I was, oh my God, this is it. Funny. And I do love all the harmonies. Like I'm such a big fan of harmonies, and I do like when she does
the counter
soaring above it all, and then just like, oh, it is nice. It's just like all the time, so you kind of expect it. She has some really good riffs in 4th of July, Close My Eyes, and Whenever You Call. And I did note that Whenever You Call was like finally something out of the formula. I'm pretty sure there's no background singers. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's changed. And I'm pretty sure that she was using a middle ground of her voice, so to speak, where it wasn't like, but it wasn't like, it was finally like, it's like, yes. Fly Away, is that literally what it's called?
Yeah, the reprise, so good.
Oh, whoa, it sounded like I really want to know if she would go a step further for that song because it sounded like a forest and it was like birds, but that was her. And I was like, whoa. It sounded like Mockingjays and like, the Hunger Games. And I was like, this is amazing. So that was like one of my faves. And I think, is it Whenever You Call that had the key change? One of them had like
yeah.
And I was like, yes. I was surprised that actually I'm happy actually that not all that was like one of the only ones I noted that had a key change. And I did think it was interesting when she had rappers come in. I just feel like sometimes it didn't fully fit. But I didn't mind. There was a rap in, I think it was The Beautiful. Is it The Beautiful? It's either Breakdown or The Beautiful ones. Where
it's Breakdown, yeah.
Yeah, Breakdown, where like the rap was actually like pretty fast. And she, at halftime, it was kind of fast, I guess. So then the rap had to be like fast. And I was like, whoa. So I liked that. And in Honey, I forgot to mention, in Honey, I liked how she rhymed Mariah with You're on Fire. I heard that and I was like, yeah, that's so funny. Like, what else are you going to do? But still. And then, whoa, apparently Elton John is credited on Fly Away.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Whoa.
I think it's below the Rocket Man in there.
That's crazy. Yeah, it was so good. I wanted to say, because I really wanted to compare her to other singers, because I wrote down in my original notes Celine Dion.
Yeah.
And I think that both of them are actually very similar. Celine is like the lower range version of her, if she wasn't like, R&B. And I originally, like, oh my God, I would love to hear them sing together. That's where I was going
Yeah,
with this.
everyone always says that too.
Like that must be insane. That would be insane. In the end, like if that, if she thrives, if they both thrive doing like these slow, amazing, sometimes power ballads, but sometimes like just sensual rah, for like 5 minutes. It was a 57-minute album, 12 songs. Not that bad, but that's what you got. But it honestly does, I guess, as an intro to her, it does make me excited to hear what else she could do. Because
Yeah.
I'm assuming, because if she has so many songs, so many other albums, I'm assuming they're not all like this one, especially
No,
after
this
hearing
was like
like
an anomaly almost.
like what song where she goes,
Oh, it's a
or
rap.
like what's that other one?
It's a rap. I think it was the first one, and then I forgot the riff you just did.
Or the one that sounds like Best of My Love, where she's like inside
Emotions.
of it. Well, yeah, like that. Like I was like, oh my God, if she has like a lot of songs like that, like whoa. But
I
that's
would have
more pop,
suggested
right?
the Emotions album, but I thought this was more lyrically driven, which is more funny than the other two. I was going to suggest,
Mhm.
I was like,
Which I mean, honestly, I didn't think at the same time as I said all of that stuff, at the same time, I feel like I did not know her like this. You know what I mean? Like, actually, it makes me kind of happy to know that she's not just like, I have a good voice. Like, that she actually like cares about what she's saying and the fact that, she put all like the stuff. So there is that as well.
Mhm.
So I'm pleased. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way I felt about Daughtry, where I'm just kind of in the middle, because I was telling Mike that for Daughtry, I was like, okay, if it's the only album, the only album I'm listening to, oh my God, like I was like, I could not do that. But some of their songs would go in my rotation, and I feel that same way about this. Where if I just listened to this album, I'd be like, oh my God. But some of the songs, like Fly Away, I actually liked Close My Eyes. And actually, Close My Eyes was kind of the opposite of Whenever You Call, because the whole time she was like, ah, and that was great because there was no, I was actually shocked. I was like, there's no, ah. I was like, it's just like, ah. And I actually quite liked that. And actually, same with 4th of July. She got pretty low in 4th of July, if I recall. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, like that's what I want. So in the end, it did make me want to listen to more. And I'm definitely going to take some of these songs and put them in my playlist. But I guess like as the whole album as a whole, we also rate them, by the way. You don't have, we rate it out of 5. I assume that if you're giving it to us, it's a 5 out of 5. But then Erica and Aaron told us that their Daughtry album was a 4 out of 5. And I was like, what? Which is fine, I guess. I was actually going to rate this lower than the Daughtry album. But upon further reflection, I think I just want to rate it the same. So, which is a 3 out of 5, which I think is
75%.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. What'd you say?
I said that's a 75%. Seem like
True 75%. Whoa. Yeah, like I think I wouldn't listen to anything below like a 2 or whatever. I'm terrible at rating things, by the way.
you're fine.
Because I don't know what scales, like, you know what I mean? And my ratings from last season are all over the place. Yeah. But so yeah, I would probably rate it a 3 out of 5. I'm glad that I know it.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that. And because I was like, oh my God, I don't want Ty to think like no. Yeah, I am pleased that you went the Mariah Carey route, because I didn't know if you would. Part of me was like, oh, is he gonna go Beyonce, which is not bad because he's got to listen to Renaissance or Lemonade. But I was like, whoa, we have not covered Mariah at all. So I am pleased.
For you, knowing everything about you, I'd suggest the Emotions album you listen to first out of all of them, because it has a lot of jazz and a lot of jazz influence, especially the song. It's a song. It goes like more and more and more. I can't remember, but that has a lot of jazz influence. I think you'll like it with the scales and everything on that album too. It's a much uses much more chest dominant stuff in that too, and so just this whispery in between piano voice. But
And she
that's
even
the album
came
I
out.
would suggest.
Oh, sorry, what?
I said, oh no, that's the album I would suggest for you. Oh,
Oh, slay. I have a friend that has a recital coming up, and she wants to sing one of Mariah's songs, and I was like, oh, what is it? And it's something from an album that came out like 2 years ago, and she sounds the same, if not better. I don't understand. Like, I definitely think that this sounds terrible. I was always like, why is she famous? Like, yeah, she has a great voice, but I was like, I never like hear her in anything. Because didn't she get like an award last year at last year's Grammys? Or
yeah,
she
she
got
also
an
has
award.
Oscars too. Yeah, which is
It's like
just
voice of the century or something, or of the decade or whatever. And I was like, yeah, like she
crazy.
has an amazing voice. But wow, like the fact that she has all like the other genres going into it, I did not expect rappers to be on that album. And I was like, whoa, like this is cool. So
That's why people, when this album came out, they were like shocked because they're like, because this is always what she wanted to do, but her husband wouldn't let her do like it wouldn't to him because it's a lot of lines and context to this album more than
Yeah.
just the music, but like her racially being of mixed race, and he's like, I don't want you to be marketed as like a black woman essentially, so I want you to continue to do pop. And that's why each album has a little slight hip hop or R&B in it because she wants to add more and more, and then that's when she divorced him. This whole album was like, bam, like this is a new thing for her. That's why it's like,
wow.
yeah,
The title track was good. I honestly think this is one of those albums. I like how I keep adding on to my thoughts. This will be the last one, I promise. We have to move on. I honestly think that I would enjoy it more if I literally saw it live.
yeah.
I was thinking about it. I was like in my car and I was like, this is great. Oh my God. Just like imagine like a dreamscape looking at and her just being like, that would have like been really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my goodness.
You want to go, Mike?
Yeah.
Slay.
So Molly and I had a lot of similar thoughts. So I am going to start with my rating and then follow up with all the details. So I also gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
That's actually very good for Mike. Honestly.
What?
Yes, it is. It is good. You don't most of my stuff from last season were like a 2.
That is not true.
2 to 3. In 3. Yeah.
The only one was SZA. The Control album.
You gave the Control album a
I
2.
gave it 2.
You gave it a 2.
I said it was super horny.
He gave the Control album a 2.5 because of like the horny stuff, which I totally understand.
I
He
get
really likes what is it? Lana. He loves Lana. So
I get it. I don't blame you. I get it
I
actually.
was also at work listening to Control.
I totally forgot to tell him about the spread a dime.
Doves in the
for a
wind.
dime for-
Doves in just doves in the wind. Listen at work.
So I did listen to this one at work also, but with an earbud in. Because I was at work, I couldn't have both in, so I didn't get the layering as it was mentioned between you two. I got one side of it, just my left ear. I'm going to start by saying, is honey actually about honey? Because I don't think so.
She says no. She says it's not a euphemism, but
About Derek Jeter busting a nut.
she says no. She wrote it. Said no.
It's not that?
She says no, but everyone else disagrees.
Okay, because I'm on the side that it is about that. So, and Molly's dumbfounded by what I just said.
Oh my God.
It feels like late 90s meets Sabrina Carpenter wordplay. That's what I took away from it, besides the, whoa, this is not about honey at all. But, like, it's obviously about fluids. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh my God.
So, this is also the one song that Sean Combs was involved on, and I was like,
Yeah.
Okay. Butterfly also felt like I gave it a very niche description, and I hope Molly understands where I'm coming from with this. I said Butterfly sounds like an end credits song to a late 90s, early 2000s animated movie.
But like in a good way.
Yes. My example was Bug's Life with Heimlich. because he turns into a butterfly at the end, and I was like, oh, this would go hard in the credits for Bugs Life. And then My All, I was a bit surprised that there was like acoustic guitar for a Mariah Carey song at first. I was like, dang, acoustic Mariah.
I really liked it.
And then it had that animated soundtrack feel. But I'll digress on that matter until Spotlight. But The Roof, am I the only one that thinks the opening piano, like the 3 trill at the beginning, is like identical to Vienna by Billy Joel?
I never even pieced that together. Do you know how crazy? I listen to that song almost every day, and it literally is so similar. It's similar, but it's like, oh my goodness, it actually is similar.
Molly's pulling it up real quick before I continue.
I don't remember. I feel like if it was, I would have mentioned that.
It's like the opening 3 notes of piano.
Oh, the ba-da-dim.
Yep.
Yeah.
That-
Wow.
It scratched the Billy Joel itch as soon as I heard it. I was like, hey. And I wrote that while Butterfly seemed like it was about self-liberation, this song is about surrender. Where she's like giving her all to someone, not herself. 4th of July, it had a very similar message to The Roof based on what I listened to. I only listened to it once though. Sorry, Molly.
Actually, kind of.
Because they're both like longing for this like fling/relationship that happened but isn't now. And I was like, they seem similar. One's in a field on the 4th of July, one's on a rainy rooftop, but like similar vibe going on. And then Breakdown, I said this was like her version. Well, technically Sabrina Carpenter did My Man on His Willpower, and that's her version of this. So I said Breakdown by Mariah felt similar because it's like watching the relationship fall apart in front of you and you're like, what did I do?
Yes, yeah, essentially. When you say it like that, I'm like, essentially, that's literally what it is, actually.
And then Baby Doll, it was similar in its longing for love lyrics, tempo, and backing. But Close My Eyes and Whenever You Call were like the 2 that stood out the most to me on this album. And Close My Eyes, I was like, dang. Because that's like, I would say Butterfly is the aftermath of Close My Eyes. Because when she's like, the lyrics in that, she's talking about like dreaming of this other life that she could have that's free and like carefree, doing her own thing without being controlled by anyone else. And then
Oh, yeah. I'm going to quote Close My Eyes. Are you ready? I'm going to do the whole first verse.
okay.
With the weight of the world that I held deep inside, life was a winding road, and I learned many things little one shouldn't know. But I closed my eyes, steadied my feet on the ground, raised my head to the sky, and the times rolled by. Still, I feel like that child as I look at the moon. Maybe I grew up a little too soon. Boom.
Yeah, those last 2 lines is when I was like, okay, this song is a bit higher than the other ones.
The boom is not included.
Thank you. I didn't notice. Whenever You Call, I had as my second personal pick on the album, and it's just a good slow love song. I kind of wish that at the second verse, the R&B bass backing, where it gets to be like smooth legato on top of her voice already, I wish it was delayed or absent. And it just carried that weight of her voice alone from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then Fly Away Reprise, I was like, it's okay. I didn't have a lot to say about it. I'm glad Molly did, though, because I did not.
To be fair,
I'm sorry.
to be completely transparent, guys,
Okay.
I did not like that song until like 2 years ago.
I mean, my note on it is, why is this here? But
I think it's just meant as a transitional phase for about the beautiful.
Yeah. I like thinking of it as like an experimental. Ugh, okay, I'm sorry.
I said that it was okay. I didn't say, get this off of here. I asked, why is it here? So, Beautiful Ones. It felt like the male perspective version of The Roof, 4th of July, and Baby Doll.
It's a cover, so I think that's
Yeah,
fine.
I know
Yeah.
it's a Prince cover. I wrote that I'm glad that the 80s synth and backing from Prince's writing is still here. 'Cause you
Yeah.
can hear the elements of Prince in the synth and the guitar. And then outside, I was like, it's fairly relatable being thrown into the world, having no idea what to do. Just graduated college. What's up? So I thought it was okay. Not straight down the middle, 2.5, because there are some songs that stood out to me as being like, okay, I can get behind this. And like contemporary R&B isn't like a big element in my music taste.
Yeah.
Like there's a few songs by dated musicians that I still think are good, even though they have bad social context. I'm sorry. So I wrote that a handful of music critics at the time of its release said that a lot of the tracks blend together. And I kind of agree with how the R&B feel kind of tracks along all of the songs with a similar vibe. And that's why like the acoustic part of My All stood out to me, because it was like an element of variety. And that was like, because after I did my top fives, I listened to this, and doing the top fives, I was like, all of these songwriters have wide variety in sound.
Yeah.
So then listening to this after, I was like, okay, so a lot of the songs sound similar, but they're not like identical. And that is why it's above 2.5, and I give it a 3 out of 5. Do you have any questions or comments for either of us?
Well, I appreciate you guys' perspective because you guys are one of the few people I actually like. Well, it's part of the time to listen to the album because it is a very personal album to me. It really was like, and a lot of her fans say this, they relate to this album in a weird way because the romantic turmoil and then the longing and then the outside is like the biggest thing. It was like every fan, most of her fans, like outside is like the song that is just like you feel so interconnected with in a weird way because everyone can relate to being split in between some weird social space in regards. Like for everyone else, it could be social, but for her it was racial or like it could be sexual. Like it literally be a whole different thing. And then like there's a line where she says during the bridge when she's like, the ad-libs is also something I want to bring up too, which is I think is a big part of the album too. The background ad-libs before I bring up the irreversibly falling in between, and she repeats, and it's hard to be understood as you are, and only God knows that you're standing on your own, blind and unguided, into a world divided your throne where you're never quite the same, although you try to tell yourself you really are, but in your heart uncertainty forever lies. You'll always be someone outside. It's lyrically like it is intense, but she's like the vocal when she does all these, she progressively adds more stacks on top, and then like she does like this. There's this high A7 she does in the background. It sounds like a firework exploding because she's like it's almost like a cry, a wail on top of all of that, and she's belting on top of all the chaos that's ensuing behind her to kind of like shatter like the not the fourth wall, but it's like she's like internally like externally screaming now. And I love that outside for that reason. Then it gets very somber. It's just her at the end. It's just her singing. No background harmonies, just literally just her singing.
The outside reminded me a lot. It sounds so weird. It reminded me a lot of Nonstop from Hamilton when they do like the whole round part, because I feel like everyone and their mother was like, you know, goes and says they all have each of their different things. Yeah, and then they come back and it felt like a lot of that. Like there were so many layers to it.
Yeah. That's so funny, actually.
Oh my god, but her ad-libs are so good. And I definitely think that like they need to be like studied as like vocal exercises for singers.
Yeah, that's one thing about her songwriting. That's why I kind of put her at number one, because a lot of other songwriters I had on the top 5 like just write really well and produce really well, but her ad-libs are another aspect of her writing that's just like it overemphasizes or it summarizes an entire point that she's made, which is making it like in a creative like way almost. And that's one thing I was like, that's kind of why her songwriting is like really top, like at not number one, but like in terms of musicality with her lyrics. I wrote harmonies in the note, but the harmonies are just impact. They're like really dense in the album. The song Baby Doll, there's an ad-lib when she's repeating at the end. She's like, you can ring my bell, because the song Ring My Bell, because she's in the hotel room. She's like, it's 2:37 I'm still waiting. My body's longer. Why aren't you calling? I really want you. You can ring. You can always ring my bell. And then she kind of mocks the melody of. She uses the melody of "Ring My Bell" in the background. And then the roof also is there's a counter harmony during I think the chorus, and it's a delay, like a delay harmony, and it's so. And you can't hear it because it took me years to learn what she was saying. But in the third time she was repeating the verse, she's like, the chorus, she's like, last night I had the strangest dreams, actually quite symbolic. And you whispered the words, I love you, very subtly. She's remembering this time where she was like, she felt free enough to be like, she felt like she was escaping almost this like turmoil. And it was just like, I never knew what she was saying until I looked at it. I mean, I read someone comment, it was like, this is what she's saying in the background. I'm like, and I heard it, I'm like, this is crazy. Actually, I never knew all these years.
Yeah.
I wrote the 4th of July is like a song I like, but it's not one of my favorites on the album. Honestly, that and Whenever You Call, I used to love it, but I got tired of it. Honestly, it's a lot. I wrote that the 4th of July is like the fragrance that comes with not only personal liberation, but also romantic liberation. And the videography is important too, which is a whole nother thing because my all is like is mocking Icarus and his son, I think, like because they're in the video, they're at the light. What are the things in the ocean that are like the light rotates?
A lighthouse.
Yes, and they're that's at the lighthouse, and it's like also the roof is another like. That's all my comments about the album, but you guys' perspective like actually kind of did bring me new perspective. Like, I guess when you're hearing it for the first time, like if you don't listen to our music, this album sounds like very like not quite unusual-ish compared to her earlier work. But if you don't listen to her earlier work, it's just like, oh well, it's kind of like a nice R&B album almost, and that's what it is essentially. But you guys got a probably different perspective because I'm like, you guys have no context to the prior albums almost. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I should have did another album before this one. This is like the big one in her discography. But it's like
the thing is, I don't want you to like regret your decision to choose this album. I'm very pleased to know that it exists. Like, I think it did make me want to listen to more, which I think is what you want. Like, I mean, it's not like I don't like it and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna listen to her stuff because it's all like this. No, like it gives me really hope for her other stuff. So I don't want you to regret it. I mean, you can, but I do not want you to.
I have no regrets. I'm glad you guys, I just want to share it with you guys. It's just like, I love sharing this album with anyone. It's like my favorite one.
Well, our next segment is our newest segment added at last episode for season 2. It's called Speak Your Truth. Ty, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to name any specific singers unless someone wants me to. I'm not like trying to. My hot take is not every singer needs to be a songwriter, and because sometimes they're really lazy and it's really rudimentary how they write. And I think I'm biased because I listen to Mariah Carey and she uses expansive vocabulary words, and like Lana Del Rey who uses extended metaphors. And someone can write literally the most basic song and they're like, well, I'm a songwriter, and you are, but it's not like, it's very like, it's like an elementary school person writing. That's why I'm not trying to name any artists because I love this artist, but their singing is phenomenal. I just don't think they should.
Oh my God, wait, I want to know.
Now, she hasn't done it much recently. She actually improved a lot. But this kind of pertains to Ariana Grande.
Whoa, you didn't like Eternal Sunshine?
No, I said that's why I said she improved a lot with this recent album. But
are you not a fan of 3435?
No, I am. I actually, it's just sometimes they're overly simple. There's some lyrics I can't remember off of Sweetener that I'm like, I know it's a vulnerable album, but this just sounds like Jack and Jill run up a hill to grab a pack of water, and then they walk down, and then they came back, and here's my story. Not even like a simple, like I'm making it sounds like a Dr. Seuss rhyme almost. And that sounds biased because I love her voice, and she has improved greatly with the recent last positions and Eternal Sunshine. I think it was really with Sweetener and Thank You Next. I was like, this is kind of like, it's really not that good. And
yeah, especially when she has like the voice that she has.
And just I'm like, not every singer needs to be a songwriter. There's someone else too. I was thinking of, I cannot think of them right now, but they're another big artist. And I'm like, you don't need to write actually. You can keep singing and it'll be great. controversial take. I would say low key. Don't kill me. I love Beyonce. Low key Beyonce sometimes too. You don't need to write all the time. That's okay.
Mm,
That's okay. I love you, but you don't need to write all the time. It's not that it's terrible, but like,
some of like Renaissance I like to think of it's pop. And so I have to be like, it's supposed to be whatever. Like it's supposed to be I'm gonna say silly instead of whatever. And then I'm like, okay. And then it's fine.
yeah. Or like
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is another example. I'm sorry. Sometimes you can write very nice poetic stuff, but sometimes I'm like, and Justin Bieber. But Justin Bieber's a bit different than the other three I mentioned. He actually can write really well sometimes. Don't like him. Don't like him, but he can write pretty well. Ben Simmons is another one. I'm like, just don't write, please. Shawn Mendes sometimes. Not recent. His recent album's good.
When did he come out with a new album?
I think it was a year. I think it's Sean. I think it was like a year or so ago.
To me, he dropped off the face of the planet. So
Yeah.
I actually have no idea. Well, I might look into it, but yeah.
But that's a controversial take.
Wow. I think Mike has a response. Letting you know though, we don't share hot takes. We just sympathize with like we either agree or disagree with yours because we'll get to share ours in another episode. But that's
Yeah.
why we're not also doing them.
Oh yeah, no.
So I just want to verify what my interpretation was and whether it's correct or not. That some singers that claim to be songwriters, their songs sound really corporate and not true to themselves in writing.
It's more like it sounds so not really that, because if it's a decent pop, like Seven Rings is not a song I'm going to say like, it just sounds so, I hate the word basic because that's a basic word to use. It sounds literally like an elementary school person writing for the first time saying, I'm going to sing this too. Now here's why here's what I wrote and now I'm singing it. And it's not like a lot of good extensive thought. Like it's just like I write this, I feel it, I'm writing it. And it's okay. That's why I'm like, I can't shame anyone. It's just not a lot of, I think I look for literary devices most of the time. That's why though. Or like,
Yeah.
so I think that's
So,
like
complexities in writing.
yeah.
Here's A to B.
Yeah. And that's what I really meant. Like they just write like that sometimes. Ariana has improved, but that's when Sweeter and Thank You Next was like to me. I was like, please, what is this?
Are you a fan of Sabrina Carpenter?
I am. I think
Do
she
you
has got productive in her writing.
Do you like Man's Best Friend?
I didn't listen to it fully, but I think she got productive. I listened to like 6 songs. I was like, yeah, okay, what are you doing now?
See, I love Short and Sweet.
Me too.
I feel like she's confusing because we like the double meanings, but I think all of her songs have some sort of double meaning. And I'm like, okay, it's now basic now because
that's
you're
what
doing
I'm-
it all the time.
It's not.
So I like Short and Sweet more than Man's Best Friend because of that. So
It's not complex anymore, or it's not like a shock. It's like, oh, well, okay, well, we expected that almost lyrically.
Mhm.
Lyrically, I'm only talking lyrically, not sonically, not anything, just lyrically.
yeah.
It's just not impressive. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm not shaming songwriters because songwriting isn't easy.
But I love that hot take. Thank you, Ty, for speaking your truth.
Ariana fans and Beyonce fans don't hate me. I love Beyonce now. I really do.
Our listeners know that I still like Ariana Grande. I think I made Mike listen to Eternal Sunshine. Oh, he gave it a 3.5. Very nice.
That's nice. That's good, actually.
But okay, now we're gonna move on to our one song / movie spotlight.
Mm.
Ty, would you like to tell us what yours is?
Okay, I'll make this real quick. It's The Blackest Day by Lana Del Rey. Essentially, I'm going to say, I mentioned it earlier, but she's describing the stages of grief. And the opening line already just like, it's just really poetic. She's like, she says, carry me home, got my new nail polish on, is my favorite color. I got my blue nail polish on, is my favorite color, my favorite tone of song. To already set the precedent of what the song is going to be, because she's saying that her favorite color is associated with her favorite type of melancholic tone she enjoys in her music, or like the melancholic tone that's about to be presented in the song. And then she like describes the bridge is very like it's almost like she's describing abuse in like a weird way, but more like in gaslighting, literally gaslighting. I even like to say like, oh, gaslight could keep, like she's literally describing gaslighting her lover by being like confusing, because she's like, you should have known better than to have her let you get you under her spell of the weather. I got you where I want you. You're deader than ever. And people think when she says you're deader than ever, they think she means like she's going to kill him, but she's saying like he has no emotion. He's literally not there and he's not present. And she's falling for forever. I'm playing head games with you. I got you where I want you. I got you. I got you. I got you where I want you now. Second verse, she's negotiating. And this part, she's like having, I think the fourth stage of grief is denial. I forgot what it was, but she's like having denial at this point. And then the last verse, she's like, saying I'm on my own again, like 5 times to reiterate that like she's accepting like I'm literally on my own now, like I'm not going through the cycle again and I'm literally alone. And she says in between each like in the chorus, she's like in between each line, she's like, oh my God, because she's having an actual active realization of what she was going through throughout the whole relationship.
Wow. Looks like the stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. That's wild, though. I've never heard of a song that does that. And I have actually never heard that song. So, wow, I'm going to listen to it. That's nice.
Love it. It's a good song. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to go next because mine is short and sweet. Nothing to do with Sabrina. And I know for a fact that neither of you have heard this, and our listeners and probably like most of the universe have never heard this song. I say that I'm not trying to make my one song spotlight always about our guest, only if it fits. And this is an example of it fitting. And so this song is called Butterflies. Not Butterfly, but it's by, they're called the Fabulous Girls. It's a group that was kind of like put together for like, I think like one album. If you know anyone in this group, it's Symphonique Miller, and you know her by the main, right? You know her as the main girl from How to Rock, Nickelodeon. Mm-hmm. It's before that show happens, and it's very like 2010s, I think, like girly pop. It's kind of, honestly, it's kind of like Zara Larsson back then. It's them. And it's actually just like a great song, actually. And it's just called Butterflies, though, which is why I was like, oh, it's good. Butterflies. I was like, let me just mention it now, because it's actually super cute. So I think you can only find it on YouTube, but it's on there. So
I put it down. I gotta listen to it.
Yes, it's so cute.
As much as I gave Butterfly a 3 out of 5, my one song spotlight is a Mariah Carey song. It is a cover of a song written by Stephen Schwartz and Hans Zimmer. It is for the end credits from 1998's The Prince of Egypt. The song is called When You Believe, and it's Mariah featuring Whitney Houston. For context, the song is about, in the movie, the context is it's their travel to the Red Sea after being allowed to leave Egypt. It's basically about the plight of the Hebrew faith, and it's like, there can be miracles when you believe. It's really good. Either way, I have lyrics in front of me. So like the first verse, it starts with, many nights we prayed with no proof that anyone could hear. In our hearts, a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we're not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. And that's just the opening verse. And then the chorus is, there can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve? When you believe, somehow you will. Bars. And like the original song goes crazy in the movie, but their cover for the credits was crazy hard. So that is my one song spotlight. I highly recommend listening to it if you haven't.
I love the song.
With the both of them is wild too.
Mm-hmm. It's such a good power ballad too. It really is. It's just beautiful.
Wow. Oh wait, he has something else.
It won the Oscar for Best Original Song.
Fancy.
So good lyrically too, and like when they sing it in the studio, like their version is so like, I don't know, it's so overwhelming in a weird way. Like they just bring this power, and like it's just really beautiful. I honestly love that song. And then you know, just have the believe sign in the background, so it fits too.
Period. Wow. Oh my gosh, we made it through. Thank you so much for joining us, Ty.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this. It was like amazing. Speaking of, you guys are just so like, your perspectives are beautiful. Really, it is. Like I'm listening to Queen and James Taylor when I get out of here. I literally have it written down because it's just so like, it's so nice hearing other perspectives. Really, it is.
That's literally how I feel about you. I love your passion. I feel like you know so many things and you're just so, let me tell you everything. And I love that because I want to hear everything. I'm so glad that we all had different, except for that was super cute when you had like the same number 4, like top 5s. I love that. And I hope our listeners listen to any of the things we talked about today, honestly. Because,
Ty, it was very nice to meet you for the first time right here.
Like,
I am accessible through the podcast's Instagram should you want to discuss James Taylor upon listening. He is an icon to me, and I'm glad you are interested in his music because of what we discussed today. But I do want to say, with the amount of content you brought to us today and the amount of discussion we had as a group, rather than it being like one-sided where everyone listens to someone have all of the information at once, all three of us brought like an equal amount. Having those shared perspectives and like having that be like your key takeaway from this is really promising, because that's like our intention with the podcast is to be like, we want to share and like share our thoughts with people who don't normally hear from us and vice versa. So it was a good time.
No, I had a great time. I really did. Like, it literally felt like no time has passed to me. Like, I feel like I'm just yapping about something I enjoy too. Like,
I know, right? It's been 4 hours.
4
Here's the thing,
hours.
we like knew it was going to be this long. Like that's, I almost was nervous to tell you like I had to leave at 6 so that you weren't like, oh my God, we're going to be there till 6. But like you blink and it's over.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, we did our second and third top 5s in an hour. Like it took us an hour to do just the 2 the 2 of those. So, okay. Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ty.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We will have a new top 5 category, a new Speak Your Truth, a new one song or one movie spotlight, and a new assignment. In our next episode with our next guest, we will not tell you who. We want to keep that a surprise.
Yeah. Well, if you guys enjoyed our guest, we will tag Ty in our Instagram posts. Go follow him. He's very cool. And as always, we'll put our reviews on Music Board and Letterboxd when we review movies again and vice versa. And yeah, just keep an eye out for any music movies updates on our stories. And that's basically it. Wow. And don't forget to watch the reboot so that it turns into a show. The Muppets reboot so that it turns into a show. There we go. I realized I forgot to say the word Muppets and I'm like, what the fuck is a reboot? Okay. Well, bye, Mike. The next time we do this, I'll be on a screen again.
Yeah. It's okay. We'll be together as friends still over recording.
Are you saying you won't miss me? What the fuck?
Obviously I will. Jesus Christ.
Not anymore. Okay, bye.